My name is David Copper Blangel, and I'm a magician, and I'm going to reach into your souls and eat your hearts. No, I'm not. I need a woman. I've been in Lisbon 3 hours. I need a woman. No, here's what I need specifically. I need a nurse or a medical professional or a dental assistant. Someone who knows the human body. Someone who's not afraid to go where no one has gone before. Is there any such person who would like to volunteer and come to the stage? Would you like to join me on stage? Would you mind? It's just a little bit of fun. Come on up here. Give her a round of applause. Oh, okay, yes, you. Woo-hoo. Thank you so much. And do you speak English a little bit? Because okay, that doesn't matter. I speak the international language of magic and love. What happened to the stairs? Magic and love. What is your name?
Sophia.
Sophie.
Sophie can be.
Okay. Sophie, are you a medical person? Are you a doctor?
Almost a pharmacist.
Almost a pharmacist? Perfect. Okay. That's perfect. Here's what I want you to do. Okay? Okay, good. All right. I want you to examine my mouth. Look inside my mouth and make sure there's nothing hidden inside my the mouth.
It's good, it's perfect.
You didn't even look! No, you have to look. You're going to be a pharmacist someday. You have to look inside. It's part of your training. Sophie, don't be afraid. I didn't come to your country to scare you. Please.
A carie? A problem in your teeth?
A problem in my teeth. Other than that, nothing hidden. Okay, thank you. All right. You and I are going to perform, Sophie, one of Harry Houdini's great illusions. But first, we're going to do the needle trick. Yes! The needle trick. These are stainless steel. Yes, razor sharp needles. Sir, come forward. Come forward, sir. Please, the music's only 90 seconds long. Examine the needle. Don't touch it with your dirty hands. Just examine with your eyes. Okay, thank you. Sophie, take one needle. Make sure it's real. Be careful, it's sharp. Yes, a real needle. Stick it in my face. It's okay. Yeah, stick it in my face.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Really?
Yeah. She's going to do it, folks. Unbelievable. Welcome to Portugal. Wham! That's what... No, not really. You don't put... Even a pharmacist doesn't do that. Hold still, hold still. Oh, Houdini was an idiot. Oh, God. Take out the rest of the needles. Now, Sophie, help me. There's some children here. I want you to say this in Portuguese. Do not try this at home. Very dangerous. Tell the children. Okay. What'd she say? Oh. Oh. Examine, Sophie. Okay. Now, this is the hardest part of the trick. Wow! Okay, Sophie. Yeah. Wait a minute. You gotta help me. Sophie, it's okay. You're not married yet. Oh, here comes Sophie. Watch. Stop hitting me! Okay, Sophie. Here comes. This is for you, Sophie. you. Don't try that at home, kids. Very dangerous. Give Sophie a round of applause. Thank you so much. Via. Obrigado. Obrigado. The lovely Sophie! You, sir. Yes, yeah, you. Examine the rope. And stand up, if you would. Stand up on your legs and show everyone a solid rope, yes? Yes! Ah, caveman! You're halfway there. Okay. Thank you. What's your name? Francisco. Thank you very much. Toss the rope. Oh, thank you, Francisco. Thank you, Francisco. I need to borrow a ring. Does anyone have a ring that I could borrow? A bangle, a ring. I have a large one right here. We'll use the one that I was going to give Sophia. Now this one, I know it's yours. Calm down. You, sir, would you come forward? Yeah. Yep. Mr. X-ray, turn and show them. You're going to have that looked at by a doctor. I can see something growing right there. Would you examine that? What is your name?
Marcos.
Marcos, nice to meet you. Make sure the ring is solid ring.
Yeah.
No gaps, no holes. No secret, no holes?
Nope.
No holes. Okay, Marcos, let me show you where the hole is. Big hole right there. It doesn't translate well, but thank you very much, Marcos, okay? No holes means the same thing as here that it does there, I guess. No holes. There is one big hole. That's why it's a ring. Now, how do you take the ring off of the rope without untying the knot? It's an old Chinese puzzle, rarely seen these days. Ancient Chinese puzzle. Solid rope, solid ring. Up. The ring is now off of the rope. I know what you did. You never really put the ring on the rope to begin with, and you just pretend it's on there, and that's how you took it off. Guess what? That's right. That's how I do. But if I put the ring back on the rope, we'll start again. Put it back on, and I'll show you the real secret. Normally we don't teach secrets, but I don't think Luis is here anymore. He left. I have a pair of scissors. They cut right through the rope like that. No, I have two pieces of rope. That's how it's done. They're both exactly the same length, right, kids? No, they're like, I want to leave. The American is yelling. No, here. Watch. They're the same length. If I put the ends together and say the magic words. Go get! There it is. Two pieces of rope, exactly the same length. Thank you so much. Watch. You know, oh, stop. Watch the two ends. That's the only way to catch bees. You got to watch the ends as they go into the pocket. There they go. Except for this one. Stays out here with this one. Bam! In the middle. This is the big applause cue. What? I hate to pick people. Who's having fun? You're just pointing to the lady beside you, so you will come up, Marcos. Give him a round of applause. I always get the guy who points. Okay. Oh, so nice to see you. No. You're welcome. Break the seal and shuffle the cards as much as you like. Much. It's sticky here. Lisbon is very humid. Okay. Sorry, you just gotta. It's like a banana. That's how we do it in America. We just, and then we. Oh, watch out. Oh, that's gonna hurt. The paper cuts hurt. Shuffle the cards, Marcos. In fact, stand right over here. Gentleman's going to shuffle the cards as much as he likes. Just try not to get them out of order. That's all I ask. Mix them up, but don't confuse them. What do you do for a living, sir?
I work at Sapo.
You work at Sapo?
Yeah.
What is Sapo? Well, keep working at it. You'll get it right. Work at Sapo. What is Sapo? I don't know.
It's like Google, but for Portugal.
Google. It's like Google.
But yeah.
But for Portuguese, Google. It's Sapo. It's better.
Yeah.
It's better. Okay. Good. Oh, that's awesome. Marcos, reach in the pack and take out any card you like. Come on. Even Sapo can find that right card.
I will not pick the Ace of Spades.
It's a free. Well, we'll do a different trick. He got the wrong card. Perfect. We'll just cut the tape and begin again. Show the card to everybody. Make sure they all see it. This isn't going to work now. We'll move on to trick number 3, okay? Everybody see it? Yeah? Do you see it in the back? In the cheap seats up there? Yeah? 4 hearts? Everybody got it? All right. Professional magician, folks. Come on. That's the first thing we learn at Hogwarts. No. Please. Put it back anywhere you like. No, you would, wouldn't you? Who told you to square it up? Let's see. 24, 25. Okay, now. I'm not Harry Potter. I'm sorry. You remember your card?
Yeah.
Snap my fingers. Your card will jump out of the pack. You remember your card?
Yeah.
Fly through. It'll be like your career. Boom, rocketing. It's Sapo. All the way towards the peak. And then it will make its turn. And be like my career. And I will catch your card right here. You remember your card?
Yeah.
Good. Here we go. Marcos, right?
Yeah.
One card jumps out of the pack. Magic Dave catches it in his other hand. Marcos, what was your card?
4 of hearts.
And it's changed into the 6 of spades. That's magic. Where I come from, we call that magic where I come from. Here's a little 6 of spades jigsaw puzzle to play with at your desk at Sapo when you have nothing else to do. Make 2 hands. Don't let go of the 6 of spades. What was your card really?
4 of hearts.
It was the 4 of hearts. Well, look where you put it, right there in the middle. No wonder I couldn't find it. There was 2. He shuffled them too much. He took the wrong card, and then he put it back in the wrong spot. You have the 6 of spades. I have the 4 of hearts. If I were really magic, which I'm not, but if I were, it would look a little something like this. Hup. Whoa! What could possibly be in your hand? Turn the pieces over. Show the people the 4 of hearts. You threw them on the floor. No, I don't want them. You keep them. Make a fist. Squeeze tight. Hold your hand high in the air. Do you believe in the healing powers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Repeat after me. I will never say what other people tell me to say. Okay. Oh, thank you, Marco. I will. You always make a good fist right there. Okay. I'm going to blow with my laser breath. Magic. Watch. Open your hand. I got some on you. Open your hand. Have those pieces fuse, welded themselves back together. The healing powers of Marcos are alive. Look at that. Wonderful, Marcos. Thank you so much, my friend. You want to keep it? You don't want this. It's all wrinkled. Wait a minute. If you want it, it's all wrinkled, but I'll give it to you. But you have to do one thing. Blow. Like that. No, on the card. Whoa. There. All the wrinkles are gone. It's as good as new. You can keep that as a souvenir. I'm going to try something else. That was called sleight of hand. I'm going to try something. It's a little more like mind reading. Anybody here believe in ESP, mind reading? If you believe in mind reading, here's a joke for you. Hope you enjoyed that. That's all I got. Marco, please. Hi, what's your name?
Louisa.
Louisa, would you stand here, please? Give Louisa a round of applause. Do you work at Sapo too?
Well, yeah.
Judging by your pants, you don't, but you do.
I do, actually.
Oh, what do you do there? What do you do there?
I work in Cloud PT.
You working? Yeah, Cloud PC, you're the best. You rock. Cloud PC, great. Wonderful. I don't know what that means. I do card tricks. Okay, take your thumb, push the deck open. Louisa.
Yes.
Anywhere you like, just open the deck at one spot, and it's a shuffled deck. Marcos has shuffled them again. We want to make sure they're really shuffled up. Thank you, Marcos. They are shuffled.
Yeah.
It's a real deck of cards. Do not trick her in any way. Take your thumb. You're going to push the deck open and take the littlest, tiniest peek. And please remember the number and the suit of whichever card you happen to open the deck to. It's your choice.
Am I doing it?
You do it. She's actually going to open the deck. You have to actually open it enough to see the number and the suit of one of the 52 cards in the pack.
Another one?
What do you mean another one?
I already did it.
You already did it? I didn't have time to get my finger in the back. There's no way. I explained this once, folks. I'm not Harry Potter. There's no way Mr. Magic's going to find the card. Yeah, do it again. Oh, another one. Hold it open for like 9 minutes. This isn't going to work. Shuffle them up again. We'll cut the tape at some point and start this again. Okay. There's no way. Take another 9-minute look. I have a better idea. I am an expert in thumbprint identification technology, so I just thought of something. I'm going to try to find your card. Which thumb did you use to look at that first card? That one? If I could look at your thumbprint, please, because each thumbprint is unique. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, now I will find your card by matching the thumbprint. These are all Marco. This is difficult. This light, it's not going to be... You know, the problem is my eyes are a little bit weak. I'm not going to be able to find your card with the sense of sight. Luckily, I have something that's stronger than the sense of sight. It's my sense of smell. What do you say in Portuguese? You know the dog that the crime fighters use to sniff people out? Bloodhound! You have a more interesting accent. Bloodhound! Now, let me smell your thumb, please. The scent of a woman, yes. I got it. Have you been to a turtle farm lately? Tortuga? No? No. Okay, I'm just asking. I don't know. Here we go. All I'm smelling is a big hairy dog. It's Marcos. That's what it is. Yeah. Marcos has ringworm. Okay, I'm not going to find it. There's no way I could find it with the sense of smell. I can't smell. Luisa, I'm going to have to taste your thumb. Just jam it in. Put it right in the pie hole there.
Serious?
What do you mean, am I serious? Well, look at all these cameras. Yes, we're serious. You know how much money this is costing? She hesitates, and that's healthy. Here's what I have here. It's called Wet Ones in America. It's antibacterial, antiseptic, hospital-grade, germ-killing wipes. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do, Louisa. I'm going to ask you to take your thumb, and one little ridge, one cell, one little skin ridge cell, touch one little taste bud, just one little taste, just the tiniest tap, and transfer the DNA, the taste, and then we wipe away all the germs, no problem. I do this all the time, just a little tiniest. She actually did it, folks. Oh, God. Oh. Who are you people? Oh, disgusting. I've been to third world countries, unclean. Portugal, wham, take it. Sapo, needles in the face. Disgusting. I have a gift for you. Your very own antiseptic wipe. Give Louisa a round of applause. She goes back to her seat. But you know what? Louisa, I'm going to find your card anyway. Let me hop back up on the stage. I'm going to find your card. Now that I have a little taste, here we go. You don't see this on TV in Portugal, do you? No! This has been banned in your country. Did you want to shuffle these again, Marco? I got more wipes. No? Louisa, did you really see one before I take this to the next level? Did you see one? Yes. Okay, here we go. See if I can find it. Just for you, folks. This is for you. Uh-huh. I got him. Oh, God. What was your card?
King of flowers, I don't know.
King of flowers. We call them puppy dog feet in where I come from. Just kidding, of course. There it is, the King of Flowers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Louisa. What? You're not supposed to. Whoa, you're supposed to stay in the. This isn't part of the show, but this is. Whoa. He got out of his cage, kids. It's all right. His name is Rocky. Whoa, hey. He's an American raccoon. He normally travels. He's very nice. There's nothing to worry about. Oh! Watch out, sir. He was going for the bloodhound. Give him a look. It's a, whoa, hey, I'll hypnotize the bee. Turtle, weird. I don't. Hypnotize, out like a light. Tonto, I don't know what it is. It's, I don't know why I have this, folks. This is something I travel with to make the kids happy. Would you like to see it? No, okay, I'll stay over here. But you can make one yourself. They're really fun because they look alive, and I have a lot of fun because people take life too seriously. People take life, pharmacists, cloud PC people, life is so serious. That's why I make these. You get a spring, and you take a dead cat, and Sapo at that. And anyway, you look, Rocky, and he eats munchy. And 4 fingers making boogie. That's my life, folks. 4 fingers, never use one. Woo! Man. Marcos, would you like to try this? Come on, it doesn't hurt. Come on. I have more wine. No? Maybe later. This is correct. Munchy. This is incorrect. Munchy. I make balloon animals for the children. It's an idiotic thing, but this is kind of how I look at life. I travel a lot, and when things are getting a little dull, I go into restaurants, and this is a true story. That's why I always tell it. It really happened. I was in Washington, D.C., in a very nice restaurant near the White House, and I was feeding Rocky in my restaurant, in my table, some salad and lettuce. And true story, the waiter comes over, a man with no sense of humor. Very serious man. You may not have a live animal here in this restaurant. No problem. Supersize it. No, he's all right. Rocky, CPR. He comes right back to life. Anyway, watch out, man. He was going for your beard, Marcos. He thought it was a relative. Listen, did I get rid of the jokers? Did I take those out of the pack? No. Oh, no. So you're a computer person, right? Mm-hmm. You deal with numbers, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to show you something. This is kind of unusual, but this is very unusual, actually. Let me put these away. There is a game that's played still in rural parts of America today. It comes from the Civil War era of the United States, around the mid-1800s. It's a game called Blue and Gray. Sometimes it's called Civil War. It's the greatest con game ever created with a deck of cards. It's very clever, and if you'll indulge me, I'll actually go through the steps and show you this amazing con game. Because people who deal with numbers tend to appreciate this, and I'll show you what it is. First of all, let me tell you what happened during the Civil War. A lot of people shot each other and got killed, unfortunately. There were big battlefields like Bull Run in Manassas, Virginia. And what would happen after a large battle, the Northern Army and the Southern Army, the blue and the gray uniforms, the blue and the gray would fight. There would be a field littered with bodies. And the grave diggers would come. They would follow the armies and they would dig shallow graves. And they would inter the bodies, put them in the graves and cover them in a makeshift temporary grave, because not far behind the armies were the families and the churches and the communities, and they would take these soldiers home. And at night, these grave diggers, by candlelight and by lantern light, would play this game, and they called it Civil War. Because when you dug up one of these temporary graves, you never knew what you were going to get, because it was often done in the dusk. Sometimes you'll find 2 Northern soldiers, 2 blue. Sometimes you'll find 2 gray. They would usually throw 2 bodies in. And then sometimes you would find one of each, a blue and a gray, in the same grave, and they would take them out. So that's where this game came from. And here's the idea. If you take a shuffled deck, and I'm going to let you shuffle all through this, there are only 3 possible color combinations if you deal a pair of cards. Red, 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 black. Oh, that just happened to come up perfect. Black, black. So there's red, black, red, 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 black, black. You never know what you're going to get from a shuffled deck, right? Can you think of any other color combination? No. It's got to be one of those 3. A pair of reds, a pair of blacks, or a mismatched pair. And that's where the rules of the game come from. Now, we're going to play this game. We're actually going to play for money, $52. And these are on the line. Whoever wins this game gets to keep the money. Okay? Oh, look, now she's interested. I will mix the cards. Now, I know when I mix the cards, guess what? People don't trust me because I'm Mr. Magic. And they think I'm doing something funny. So I won't mix the cards. Are you a shuffler like this? Or do you shuffle like that? I have a better idea. Look at that. I make 2 beautiful flowers. Now smash them into each other. Yeah, mix them up. Just push them into each other like that. Yeah, now watch this. If we toss them out, you see that is now a shuffled deck, right? You're responsible for the order of those cards. Even if we square them up. Would you like to square them up or shall I? It doesn't really matter because you have just decided who's going to win. You've decided who's going to win. I'm going to let you both take a quick peek at the orientation of the cards. That's quick enough. Now I'm going to let you decide, do you want to be red or black?
Black.
Black. So you'll take?
Red.
Okay, your choice. I'll take the mismatches then, since that's what you left me. All right. So we turn the cards. This is the boring part of the trick where we actually see who's going to get the most cards. You said red.
No,
Oh, you said black. Okay, red. Black. Okay. Oh, mismatch for me, mismatch for me, mismatch for me. Well, you never know. I mean, this is completely random. Red. Red. I wonder why you saw black. I saw a big run of reds in there when I saw. There's black. Here we go. You're catching up. Black, red, and finally, oh, the 2 blacks go over here. Pardon me. That's okay. Now pick up your cards, and I want you to count them to yourselves, and we'll announce the numbers. 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. Did I mess you up?
No.
Okay. I have 28. How many do you have?
10.
10 and 28 equals
30.
38. How many do you have? 14 and 38 equals?
That's so much more.
14 and 38 equals what? 52? Guess what that means, folks? It means I win all the money because I got 28 cards, and that's how you play Civil War. If everybody put their money in the pot, I would go home the winner. Now let me show you how this little con works because it's very, very interesting. Here's what's going on. From a shuffled deck, and they really are shuffled, and anybody can really shuffle them, and there really are 52 cards. We opened them here tonight. I told you there were 3 ways the cards could fall. There's a pair of blacks, right? You were black. Well, there's a lot of blacks. What's going on with all the blacks? Let me shuffle them a little bit better here. Let me do it face up to just, for example, you could have a pair of blacks, you could have a pair of reds, you could have a black-red pair, or you could have a red-black pair. See what's happening there? The odds are double in my favor because not only do I get the red-blacks, I get the black-reds. So I'm always going to win. And when I said, what color do you want? You chose a color because that's what I asked you to do. And you said black. And I said, so that leaves you with, and they always pick the other color. Because they think it's a binary choice. It's not. You could have said the mismatches, but you didn't. So that was the basis of that great old con game. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to play this game one more time. I'm not going to play. Now you know the odds are double in my favor, okay? The contest will be between you two, all right? Mm-hmm. Whoever gets the most cards takes home the $52. I'll shuffle them one last. Oh no, let's do. You be the final arbiter. You smash your flowers together. Wonderful. You have just decided which of you is going to take home Magic Days $52. This is exciting. I've been trying to give this money away for years. Okay. Woo-hoo! Pair of reds. That's for you. Mismatched pair. That's for me. I don't count. I don't count. Those are for me. I don't count. We're not going to deal mine out. Reds, that's mismatch. Mismatches, again, as you will see, I'll get most of the cards. As I deal the cards, don't count them as we go, because I want to, oh, there's some blacks. I want this to be a horse race between you two guys, and I want to make it more exciting. There's a pair of red-black. As I said, I not only get the red-blacks, but I get the black-reds, red-black, black-red. You see how it works? Red-black, black-red. I want to see which of you square them up so that nobody can see. And black-black. Do me a favor. Pick up your cards. Count them silently under the table. I would have won, I have a feeling, because... yeah, I got like more than half the deck here. And how many do you have?
8.
How many?
8.
8. And how many do you have? What?
8.
You got 8 also?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in the history of Civil War, it's a tie. You know what that means? That means I keep the money. Oh, I'm so happy. That's awesome. I'm sorry that happened. But that sucks for you guys.
We could still split.
No. What's that?
We could split.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll go for a cold one.
interesting idea. You could still split. Okay, tell you. You know what? You know what? You know what? I like the way you think, Louisa. We are going to split the money. I'm going to give you guys each. Don't you folks think it's only fair they each get half the money? Yeah. Yes. There. Boom. You each get half the money. On one condition. We play one more time. And for every pair of blacks Louisa gets, you give her 2 of your dollars. For every pair of reds he gets, you give him 2 of your dollars. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. For every mismatched pair I get, you each only have to give me $1. That's fair. The odds are double in my favor. You only have to give me half the payout. You're a math guy. You work at Sapo. You know that's fair, right? Yes, of course. One final shuffle. Oh, no, wait. If I shuffle, nobody trusts me. There's the flowers. You smash them together. Smash the flowers together, Louisa, for the final turn. Look, show everybody what you did. That's the final turn. She has just decided how much money each of us is going to take home. This is the real deal, right? Here we go. Pick up your, I'll pick up the cards, you pick up your bills. Hold your bills in your hand like this, like you're going to deal. So are you ready? Boom. Oh, a pair for you each owe me $1. That's good. That's 2 for me. Okay. Just put it right there in the pile. Oh! 4 for me. That's lucky. You shuffled. 6. That's good. 8. Wow. 10. Wow. 12. 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42. What is the odds of this happening? 44, 46, 48. Wait a minute. 48. Deal the last all the way down. You haven't been keeping up. You haven't been keeping up. Wait a minute. Deal them all down except the last one. I just noticed something.
I have more than you do.
What do you have?
I have one left now.
That's a $100 bill. What's that? A $100 bill.
You have to give me 99.
Wait a minute. We have one more turn of the cards. It depends on how you shuffled the deck. Oh, there's a chance. Look, there's a chance. I can't believe it, folks. Thanks anyway. Give them both a round of applause. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thanks for playing Civil War. Sometimes I don't know. People always ask me, it's a true thing, people always ask me, what's the most amazing thing you've ever seen? That's what they ask me. What's the most amazing thing you've ever seen? And there is one thing that I can remember, because there was a great magician. He's not with us anymore. His name was Di Vernon. And he was a sleight of hand man, born around the turn of the century. And when he was young, he actually fooled Houdini because he was so advanced with his skills with playing cards and other things. But his name was Di Vernon, but everyone called him the professor out of reverence for his knowledge. And he took up residence at a place called the Magic Castle in Hollywood. He sat in the same chair every night, and he had his snifter of brandy and his cigar, and he was a creature of habit. And you could always find him there at the Magic Castle like this, because he was a very old man. And I'm going to tell you a true story. As a young man, I traveled to Los Angeles to be near Vernon, as many young magicians did. And I got to spend some time with him, and it was wonderful. He was so full of wisdom, and he was kindly share his knowledge. He was very generous with his time. One night, a young magician came into the Magic Castle and decided to challenge the old man, to challenge the great Di Vernon. It was like a gunfighter mentality. They had to measure themselves against the great man. And so he said, "Show me a trick, old man." And Vernon complied. He was a very nice old gentleman. He said, "Well, here, pick a card." And his hands would shake a little bit. And all the other magicians gathered around when Vernon picked up the cards later in life. So there was a lot of interest there. So he had the young man pick a card. "I'll just do this. Would you just say stop at any point?"
Stop.
Right there. 8 of diamonds. Okay. Vernon turned his back to light his cigar, his ever-present cigar. And here's what the kid did. The kid shuffled the deck. Look at this. Shuffle some cards face up and some cards face down, so it was a big mess. Some face to face, some back to back. But that would be a mean thing to do because it takes lots of time to fix it. And you would never do this to somebody like the professor, somebody everyone respected, a nice old gentleman. But that's exactly what this young man did. He shuffled the deck while Vernon's back was turned so that they were upside down, face to face, back to back, a big mess. The other magicians standing around saw this. We wanted to kill this kid. But Vernon picked up a cigar, he turned back around, he blew a little smoke over the deck, and he said, "Now where were we?" And as he spread the cards, that's when I just felt that rush of amazement, that thrill of wonder up my spine, because all of the cards were going the same way, except for one. The only one still face down in the center of the pack. Do you remember your card, Louisa? 8 of diamonds. And to this day, that's the most amazing trick I've ever seen. There it is, the 8 of diamonds. I really loved him. He was a great old man, and I love telling the story because it's based on a true story. It's not quite. I bend the truth a little bit. A couple things you need to know. He smoked a pipe. He didn't smoke a cigar. It was a sofa. It wasn't a chair. 2 more things that are important to the story. One was that young man. That was me. I'm not proud of that. And another small detail. It wasn't a red deck of cards. It was blue. Seems like a small detail now, but it made a big difference then. I'll tell you. Anyway, you can take those home if you like. I want you to examine all the props. Check it out. 2 cups, 2 balls. This magic wand is made from East African coca-cola wood. Ritual prayer stick used in ceremonies around the globe. You can examine that as much as you like. It looks like part of the hangar at the Marriott where I stayed last night in New York before getting on the airplane, in the closet where they keep the pants. But it's not. It's not. 2 brass cups, authentic replicas of the actual hubcap covers taken from King Tut's car, and 2 little rubber balls, which are both exactly the same size, especially this one right here. Here's how this classic trick works. The magician waves the wand over the little ball, and it becomes so small that it vanishes into the ether. Okay. I'll do it again. Watch the next one. Did you see it go? Louisa? You're watching too close. You need to blink more. Blink and drink. That's what magicians like. Blink and drink. When I blow, it disappears like that. And they jump back inside. There they are. Thank you. Now, thank you. Watch as this one travels from cup 1 to cup 2, and this one travels from cup over here, cup 2 to cup 1 as they change places. Thank you. In midair, I fool a lot of people with that one. It really does. Though it vanishes from here and appears over here because of the small hole in the bottom of the cup, and you can actually push your finger. We've been through this many times, haven't we? Yeah. No, there's no. Like, doesn't really work. You know what? The only way to catch me is to keep your eyes on that little ball as it travels back under the cup. That's because the operator, it's an old gambling game, would stick it in his pocket. It would actually travel under his knee, through the top of the cup, lands inside, a little tap, and then there's two. That's how they fool people. Yeah. I got another one over here. Sorry. Do me a favor, Louisa. Blow in the... Thank you. Okay, take the magic wand and tap one of the cups yourself. Look at that. The hands, you're like Harry Potter or Hermione or one of them over there. Wow. Wonderful. Thank you very much. You're too kind. Marcos, wait a minute. I knew there was one more in there hiding. Thank you, guys. Give them both a round of applause. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, wait a minute. All right. What was special about Harry Houdini? Oh, nothing. He was just the greatest showman of his time, that's all. Escape artist, magician, but he was a showman. He could take the smallest tricks and make them huge and thrill audiences with them. For example, the Hindu needle mystery. It wasn't like everybody was doing the needle trick back then. His contemporaries weren't doing this trick. It took a showman like Harry Houdini to take such small props and thrill large audiences with it. The trick is pretty straightforward. You eat a bunch of needles, you swallow some string, and then somehow they get tied onto the string in your stomach. Is there a little gnome in there? Is there a small Portuguese magician in there threading it, or a seamstress that you've swallowed earlier? No, it's a trick. And it's explained in Tarbell, Volume 4, page 103. That's all you need to know. Bye-bye. What's that? Do you want me to show you how it's done? You don't have Tarbell? Okay, I'll show you. I do it as the first thing in my act, because it really sets the tone of my act. Let me show you what's going on. In Tarbell, he says, use sharp needles, but you blunt them. You buy some needles and you shave down the end so they're not as pointy. Except for one. He wants you to have one pointy so they can hand it to somebody and they go, yeah, it's pointy. I'm drawing blood out of my finger. I don't recommend that. I recommend tapestry needles. These are called tapestry needles, and they already are blunted at the ends. They're not sharp. It comes in several sizes. I use the smaller size to go into the mouth because those are going to stay in my mouth longer. They're going to be in there throughout my whole show after I do the trick. And the larger ones come out of the mouth. They're larger. They come out of the mouth at the end. They're more impressive. They're bigger. People don't notice the change in size, obviously, but they catch the light. And they're only in there a short time because it's the first trick I do. So you can afford to have a larger needle that goes in. I use a sponge ball as a pin cushion because that's how I carry my needles around. I keep them in the thumb tip, I shove the sponge ball in there, and I'm ready to go. There's my trick all set to go, big opening to my act, and then you can fluff out the sponge ball and use it as your pin cushion later. Very practical, folks. I'm a very frugal and practical magician. Now, how do I wrap the needles, Dave, so they don't get tangled up when they come out of my mouth? Well, Tarbell would have you just somehow, in his instructions, fold them up, fold the string between each needle. I can tell you now, you're asking for a giant knot, to just a big wad of needles that are coming out of your mouth. It doesn't work so well. Here's the method I use. I use 12 needles, and if they're spaced a couple inches apart, that's about the length of my arm, and that seems to be just right. Too many more than that, it gets a little more impressive, I suppose. I think once you're about this far, the trick is over. People get the point. You have to make trade-offs. If you want to have dozens and dozens of needles coming out of your mouth, you're going to have to find a method that supports that. This is the method I use, the classic method. They're already hidden in my mouth. And look how I wrap each needle by twisting them, barber pole style, so that the thread pulls up tight against each needle, and each needle pulls up tight against its neighbor, and there's no chance of them getting tangled as they're pulled out of your mouth one at a time. So, again, I have a big mouth, so I use bigger needles. Experiment with the size and the length of the string. Wrap it several times. I leave a couple inches of string sticking out so that I can lay it. Once the needles are hidden in the side of my jaw over here, then I lay this string right here in the front so I can grab it later. I'm not ready. Okay, I think I'm ready. So now I'm ready to go, and that can stay in there for a long time. After a while, I just forget they're in there, and you can talk naturally and normally. I have a lady come on stage, I put some rubber gloves on her, I have her examine my mouth, and the way to do that is, of course, you can look in the top. People don't want to look in your mouth, believe me, it's disgusting. The human mouth is especially mine. So they don't want to look, and I force them to look. I get very physical with my audience because that's kind of my character, and I get a small woman up, and I grab her, and I attack her, and she looks at my mouth. And then I put my fingers over the needles on this side, and I go like this. And I feel pretty safe that she can't see anything. I've even had women put their finger in my mouth and feel around with a rubber glove there, and they don't feel it. Now you're going to put the needles in your mouth. You're going to swallow them one at a time. Be careful now. Just because it's not sharp doesn't mean you can't really swallow it. This can be a very dangerous trick. I have swallowed a needle. It wasn't pretty. So I push it with my tongue into the other cheek like this. And you can see my tongue popping out the cheek. I don't want them to see that. So when I do it, I actually turn away. Wow. And pretend to swallow them. Tarbell even says, don't throw your head back. He says that. Don't throw your head back because that increases the chances that you might swallow a needle. I'd still throw my head back. That's probably why I swallowed that one needle. And boy, did I pay for it. I still do it, though, because it disguises my tongue popping it into my cheek. I do several one at a time, and then I'll do the rest as a group. Fan them out. I actually have people in the front row look at them. This will test your acting ability. If you just act like it's no big deal, that's not going to fool anybody. You have to. Oh, okay. Now you take some string, take some thread, and you swallow the thread, of course. Like spaghetti. Now, here's what I do. I wad it up, and I stick this thread up here. You could stick it down there with the needles. I stick it up here. Wow, because I have control over it there. Now I let her look at my mouth again. And I hide everything with my thumbs and fingers. Nothing to see. And now, to bring them back, I just push those needles back onto my tongue, the whole group of needles, and I'll grab that loose end if I can get it. I think I left enough out there. I don't know. There you have it. It's important to make sure the lighting is going to work for you. Hold the needles and wiggle them a little bit to make sure the lighting picks up those needles, because a lot of people can see it even from the back. They'll see those tinkling needles. If you have a dark background, if you don't have a dark background and you have a dark suit on, use your sleeve as a backdrop. That helps them show up too. Well, have fun, be safe, be original. I'll see you later. Okay, this is the ring and rope routine, and it was created when I was a young man with a friend of mine named Bruce Allen, wonderfully talented magician from Dayton, Ohio. A lot of his ideas are in here as well. This is based on Rope Sensational, George Sand's Rope Sensational. If you can find a copy of that routine, it's fantastic. The ring is not part of that, it's just a rope routine. But when you add the ring, then you have a lot of possibilities. It uses an extra piece. There it is. What I do is I take a sharp object and I tuck the ends in so you don't have to tape them, and that finishes it off pretty nicely. So here's the setup. This will be in my back pocket. And I'll put the ring down the back of my pants like this, so it's tucked in the back of my pants and under my jacket, and then the short piece is right here, and I'm ready to go. So you can come out on stage, and I always have the rope examined. It's very important to make sure that the rope is checked over. I make a big deal about this. I actually usually have it checked out twice. I'll have somebody look at it, toss it back, and I'll go, okay, did it look okay? And they say, yeah. And then it gives me an opportunity to get to know the audience. What do you do for a living? Oh, really? You're a teacher. What do you teach? That's fascinating. Do me a favor and examine this rope again as if it's somebody's exam. and you're going to give it a grade, okay? Or tie it into what they do, because I really want them to look at it. Because later people are going to be coming up to you saying, it must have been a trick rope. There were magnets or snaps or something like that inside, and you have to verify that it's a solid rope, and then they toss it back up, and you're ready to start the routine. Now, I have to add in that short piece, and I get it when I get the ring. Here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to have this hand with nothing sticking out the top go behind your back and come out with the ring, and all of a sudden the rope has grown 7 inches, because you'll get a round of applause at that point. Wow, that was cool, the growing rope trick. That's not what you want. How do you avoid that? Well, here's what I do. I have this ready to go, and I'll put both hands behind my back. I'll have 7 inches of rope hanging out the top of my hand. It's the other end. So when I go behind my back, I drop one end. They don't know which end I've dropped. I'll drop that end behind my back, pick up the extra piece, and bring out the ring. So everything looks okay. So the ring is examined, the rope is examined. When I have someone on stage, I'll usually have them hold the ring, or close up, I have them hold the ring while I do the knot tying sequence. If not, sometimes I'll just hang it on my arm and do the knot tying sequence. Now this false knot is similar to the one George Sands used in Rope Sensational. You're going to end up tying this short piece around the long piece. You're switching this end for this end. But this one is actually John Cornelius. It's his method. He has a nice little touch on this, and it was published, I believe it was a Mum magazine many years ago. I could be wrong, John, sorry. What you're going to do is hold it in this manner. There's your short end hidden in your hand. Index finger and second finger scissor. You're going to grab that short piece right in the center. Now watch, my left hand is face up. It's going to turn face down in a rolling action, as if I'm wrapping this around. You're going to switch ends during the rolling action. So my left hand turns face down, and I'm going to pin there, make an X across. I'm going to pin the short rope underneath the long rope like that with my thumb. So you're in this position, and the rope, that's the long end, this is the short end. You're going to switch this end for this end. As this rolling action continues, you're going to come around and make sure this long end comes under the hand, and in the act of turning my left hand back face up, I release this short end and grab this long end. So that's when the switch happens under cover of the hand. Let me do that again at speed. It's a natural looking action. It just looks like you're making one loop, but you're actually switching ends in that moment. Now, needless to say, you won't be looking at your hands while you do this. You're talking to them. Did you examine the rope? Everything looks good with the ring. I'm going to show you an ancient puzzle that's rarely seen these days. Tie another knot. Now you've just tied the short end around the long end. At this point, you want to move the knot away from the break. I like to move it about halfway down, maybe about here. And the way I used to do it was like this. I used to just move the knot and continue with the routine. Well, that, of course, is the sliding knot effect, and they may break into applause at that point, because it looks like what you're doing is just sliding a knot. The great Di Vernon showed me a very nice move. He came up to me after a show at the Magic Castle once, and he said, Silent Mora had a great move for that. I'll show you what Silent Mora did. I thought it was another example of one of those Vernon touches. It was just such a nice idea. Instead of moving the knot away from the hand, you move the hand away from the knot. So you keep the knot here, and this hand, now this rope's going to have to be hanging here. This hand moves down, and it just looks like you're stroking the rope. It just looks like you're doing something like that. But you're actually just sliding the whole rope, the loop, through the knot. And it's just such a nice, innocent-looking thing that enhanced the illusion. Now, here's the sequence for getting the ring off of the rope. Basically, you have a big key ring here made out of rope, and I'm holding the long end with my index finger. The ring slides up the rope, and as I place it under my thumb, I give it a half twist. I turn it over and pinch it right there. So now look, that rope is just about to come out of the ring. All I have to do is roll it over with my thumb, and the ring is no longer on the rope. It's a very simple matter to do that. You do that, I pinch it here and hold. I'm ready to roll that over to the other side. I don't do that until I reach through here. You have a little misdirection now. Now I roll that short piece out of the ring. And then you want to create a confusing image. You don't want them to see this. So what I do is I grab here and I give it a twist at the same time. So you have this little kind of puzzle knot you've made, and they can't tell whether the ring is still on the rope. They assume it is because, you know, they haven't seen anything that tells them that it's not yet. I'll hold it like this and I'll say, now the idea is to try to remove the ring from the rope without untying the knot. Impossible puzzle, but watch. Now, if I'm working close up again, I have them hold the ring. But you can do this alone on stage if you like. And I just shake, drop the rope, and it just slides right off like that. And that's your first effect. Now, if they're convinced it's a solid rope and they're convinced it's a solid ring, that's a very strong moment. And they start thinking, wow, was it ever really on the rope to begin with? And I actually verbalize that. I say, no, a lot of people have a theory about this. They say, I know how he did it. He never really put the ring on the rope. He just kind of folded the rope over the ring to make it look like it was on there. Guess what? That's right. That's what I did. It was never really on there. Now, while I'm saying this, I get ready to link the ring back on the rope. And to do that, I move my index finger above the rope, so I'm pinching it here, above the end. And as I take the ring into the right hand, it's a simple matter to open your fingers and just feed that right through. Just going to link like that. But it happens as you're taking the ring into the other hand to show the knot. I look at the knot, I say, watch the knot, we'll tie it back on, and you just toss the ring towards the knot, and it looks like it links right there in midair. And that's your second effect, very strong. All right. Now at this point, I say, I'll show you how it's done. I have a small pair of scissors in my pocket that people don't know about. They're very sharp, and they cut right through the rope like this. Scissors cutting through the rope. You guys act like you see this stuff every day. You're just sitting there. I'm sorry, I'm not Harry. Okay, here's the deal on this. This is the part of the trick that I love. This was an idea by a guy named John Swomley, a friend, a magician in West Virginia. He came up with this. I just have a little short piece in my pocket over here. And whenever you want to do this bit, you just reach into your pocket and you say, let me get my pair of scissors. And I thumb palm it in the left hand, like that. So you come out and you apparently cut the rope. You're just going to drop that piece. Now their eye will follow the dropping piece. All you do at this point is grab the short piece, like that. That's it. So after you cut, you just grab that and you move your hand away. Everything looks natural. I pause a beat. I go, hello, I just cut the rope. And now it's funnier. The further this flies, the funnier this bit is. So I stick my thumb under that piece, and I'm going to flip it really high and kick it up into the air like this when I cut. I say, scissors cutting through the rope. You people act like you see this stuff every day. I can't believe it. You're so jaded by Nintendo and your iPads. Come on. Now, apparently you have two pieces of rope. I'll just untie the short knot there. Don't let them obviously see that, but this goes back to the rope sensational routine. You have a long piece and a short piece, just like in most classic rope tricks. And the rest of the moves are pretty standard rope routine moves. I'll stretch the rope, and then I'll put them back together. I'll drop one end. I'll hold the other long end here with a finger pinky like this. What you're going to do is just grab one end of the short piece and pull it out as this hand grabs the rope underneath your hand. It's kind of a move like that. You just kind of squeeze and it looks like it goes back together. Now for the finale, I'll double the rope in my hand. I'll grab the long end here and then I'll double the short end like that. So it looks like I've just gathered the two ends into my left hand. But actually I'm in this position. All right? Now these two ends go into the pocket. This is my finale. Because I like to begin clean and end clean. You'll see with most of my routines, I let them examine everything at the beginning, and if you're able to let them examine everything at the end, it's a great place to be. So for the finale, and the middle, and I tell them, this is the big applause cue. Just so you're not confused, boom, there it is, a miracle with a ring and a rope. Hope you guys enjoy it. I came up with this when I was just a teenager. I've been doing these tricks for many, many years. And you need for this trick a regular deck of cards, and you need 3 duplicates. You need the original from the deck and 2 other cards, so 2 duplicates. I don't know if that's a triplicate. I don't know what you need. You need 3 cards that all look alike eventually. Now, where do you find those? What? Palming, yep, that's me. I palmed it. You didn't even see that, did you? Look at that. Let me just explain something real quick. When I started out, what I used to do when I was table hopping, I would have the deck in the box and the flap closed, and I thought it was very clever. I put the cards above the flap, between the flap and the rest of the deck, those 3 duplicates. So I could approach the table. I don't have to have anything palmed. And when I was ready to do the trick, I would pull those 3 cards up away from the deck, open the flap, pull the deck out about half an inch. Then I would drop those 3 and grab them through that half moon cutout. Now when I pull everything out, those cards are automatically in-jogged. I would put the deck on top of that, close the flaps, close the box. That gave me an excuse to put the box on top of the deck. Now look at this. I can grab right here and steal away those in-jogged cards while I have the deck shuffled. Shuffle the cards as much as you like. I might even stick them under my arm while I'm talking to them. And then, as I took the deck back, I would set the box on top in order to set it aside. And now I've cleverly added those cards back to the top of a shuffled deck without having to resort to palming. I was so proud of myself. I saw my name. I said, I'm going to call that the card box recovery or so. I was the David Williamson bamboozling card box edition. I don't know what I was going to call it. It was all about ego, about being clever. After about 2 weeks of doing this at every table, moving the card box and closing the flap and lifting up on the in-jog, people weren't even paying attention. They're still eating their, steak and potatoes over there, barely paying attention to me. That went away. I just started sticking these in my pocket, and I say, shuffle the deck, and I put my hands in my pocket, grab my 3 cards, and I would just add them to the top, just like that, with a very clever, I call this the Williamson edition. All done shuffling? Great. Look at that. Clever. Now you have a card selected. You're going to have a card selected. You're going to force one of those 3 cards. The best way is a classic force. You can use any force you want here, but I use a classic force, and it's even easier because these 3 cards all look alike. So I'll jog shuffle, I'll leave 1 card in-jogged above the queens, and this is a nice touch that Darwin Ortiz showed me years ago. When you're squaring up the deck and you want to get a break below, let's say, an in-jogged card, most of the time we do this. Square up like that and you get the in-jog there. But when your whole hand comes over to square up a deck, there's a lot of cover there. It's not necessary. This is a much more elegant solution. Just use the back of your index finger and you lift up on that in-jogged card while you square, and that's how you get your break with your pinky, like that. That little rub like that is a nice way to do it. I always like touches like that. Now I have the card selected. Now because I have that break above my queens, it's an easy matter to classic force. And the way I do this classic force is I'll spread the cards and release the break, and you see a little wedge form right here above my queens. So I can let go of the break and just spread to that wedge. And what I'm doing is offering one of those 3 cards to the spectator. They always go for one of those 3. You let them have it, and you cut the other 2 queens to the top. They look at the card, they show it to the audience, and then I have them place it back in the pack wherever they wish. That's the nice part about this trick. They really can put it back wherever they like. It doesn't matter. All right. Now I'm going to find the card. I say, I'm going to find your card in a magical way. I'm going to snap my fingers and it will jump out of the deck. This is where you find the wrong card. The wrong card is going to jump out of the deck. I do a little flourish where I make it jump out and I catch it in the other hand. That's kind of the whole point of the trick, I tell them. But you don't have to do that. You could just reach in the deck and pull out a card, and that's going to be the way you do the trick. You don't have to do a flourish here. You can just find the card in some other way. But I want to show you this flourish. This was invented by a 17-year-old kid named Marcia Kasdorf a long time ago. My wife was playing around with the deck when we were dating, and she stuck her finger in the deck and snapped, and 1 card jumped out. And I said, do that again. And she said, do what? I don't know what I did. So she invented this. I call it the MC spin-out, Marcia Kasdorf. 3rd finger goes inside the deck, and you're holding the deck with your 2nd finger and thumb like that. You got to get a good grip on it, because that 3rd finger pushes up real hard and gets some friction there, and this 2nd finger is your fulcrum point, and you're going to snap that card around that 2nd finger. You're just going to throw it out with this finger here that jump out of the center of a deck of cards. It would be a mistake not to look at the card, to glimpse the card you're going to make jump out, because I can't tell you how many times I've done this and I go, hey, is that your card? And they go, yeah, that was a good trick. And I went, oh, crap. What? That was a good trick. And I said, you don't understand, layman. I had more. I got 2 more. Never mind. Get out of my restaurant. No, I wouldn't do that. So I always recommend you look at another card. Make sure it's a different card, different color, good contrast. Snap the fingers, make the card jump out. The other thing I'll do sometimes is I'll put a different card on top of the pack, or you can actually use the bottom card, whatever card happens to be on bottom. You use the old manipulator's flourish, where you hold the deck in this way and you snap that card with your thumb over your index finger. Just snapping like that, but up in the air, give it a little wrist shake, and you get some nice height. When I do this trick on stage, I'll often use that method, like that. Okay, but close up, I did it this way. I would make the card jump out of the pack. Sometimes I throw it around my back. Bing! What was your card? And they say Queen of Hearts. Look, it changed into the 8 of Clubs, and that always gets a laugh, which is a great time to do a top change while they're laughing. Here's my method for the top change. We're going to go into this in more detail later during another part of this project, but what I do is hold it very gently in this hand, the card to be changed, and this hand has this top card ready, which is my queen. Remember, I have 2 duplicate queens on top. You're going to push that over a little bit over your second finger and just feed it under this card with your second finger, like that. We'll go into more detail later. Smooth top change, like that. So I do 1 top change. I say, was that your card? No. I put my hand down. I drop my shoulders. I make this little gesture. Well, what was your card? And that's when I do the top change. Everybody's going to find their own natural rhythm and natural motivation for that. But I've developed this little shrug. And the eyes are very important. You have to look at the card first to be changed. Snap it face down. When you look up and ask a question, an innocent question, they always meet your gaze. That's just the way it is. Those are the basic rules of magic, right? The basic rules of misdirection. If you want somebody to look at something, you look at it. If you want them to look at you, you look at them. Put this card face down. I look up. I ask the question. I do the top change. Then I act like, well, I got the wrong card. And in frustration, I'll tear this card up, throw it down. And they go, you didn't have to tear it up. And I go, well, you got the wrong card. It didn't work. I act very concerned. What was your card? Queen of Hearts. And now they really believe I missed it because I tore that one up. Well, it's really the Queen of Hearts. They think I tore up the 8 of Clubs, which is obviously still on top. So I go through the deck and I up-jog the, oh, there it is, the Queen of Hearts. Boy, it didn't work. I'm so sorry. Wait a minute, I have an idea. Put your hand on top of those pieces. Now, when they go to reach for the 8 of Clubs, that's when I do the top change. Cover the pieces. That's my action. When they start moving to cover, that's when I make my secondary gesture. My shoulders have dropped. Shoulders are very important because people read body language. And when your shoulders are up, there's tension. When you drop your shoulders and swing your arms and have soft eyes and relax your neck and let your head wobble a little bit, everybody in the room relaxes and they don't think anything important is happening. And that's when you want to do your secret moves like the top change. So I say, cover the 8, and then I relax, I step back, and that's when I do the top change very softly as I point and I say, press firmly. And nobody ever sees it. There's so much misdirection going on there. So the queen is here. I say, do me a favor, cover the pieces of the 8. Press firmly. And they do. And I say, now I'll take your card, the Queen of Hearts. I'm going to place it, and they have their hand here. So I would say the card that was once torn, and I would pause, and they go, once torn. Yes, the 8 of Clubs was torn. Torn card, 8 of Clubs, good. Is now restored. And I let them see that in their mind first, right? They have to close the circle in their mind so that the reaction is based on the revelation. All you're going to do now is confirm that it's restored. And they're like, what? Whoa, how did that happen? That's a magical moment. Actually, that's not the magical moment. The magical moment is this moment when I say, look, there, that's the magical moment. The magic has happened. The card that was once torn is now restored. And you show that card. So they build the anticipation. You want people to say, no way, no way, no way. And then you go, way, boom. And then I say, and the card under your hand, is it possible that they changed places? Could it be the Queen of Hearts? And I let them see that picture in their mind. They're going, no, that can't be. It is! And there's your reaction right away. When they reveal that Queen of Hearts and everybody is looking to see what those pieces are over, I have them turn them over. I will now give this the Mercury card fold, which is a move from expert card technique, right? Mercury card fold, you're actually folding the card in half against your thumb. I press to make a little crease, and then you close your fingers tight and fold it into quarters and press it up against the bottom of the pack like that. So now the card is in quarters against the bottom, and it happens very quickly. Boom, boom, you're done. They think the trick is over anyway. You've stepped out of frame while they're turning those pieces over. As far as they're concerned, the trick is over, and you act like it. Yeah, that's nothing. Interesting. While they're talking, while we're chit-chatting, I'll hold the pieces face down in finger palm of my right hand. Here's the switch. It's not even a switch. I put the deck on top of the pieces and keep the folded card behind. That's how I change from the pieces to the folded card. It's really no big deal. And I say, here, hold these pieces, make a fist, squeeze tight, and they'll put the pieces in their hand. Now, when I'm wearing a jacket, I'll reach into my pocket and dump these pieces in my breast pocket as I come out with a magic wand. If I'm standing at a table like this, sometimes I would just drop them on the floor. But usually they go into my pocket as I bring out a magic wand, and I would wave the magic wand over their hand and say the magic words, hocus pocus, chicken bones chocus, whatever you say, and those pieces magically fuse weld themselves back together. And now the trick is really over. Except that it's not, because I have one more card on top of the deck, and I'm going to do one more top change. And the way I eventually started doing this, and it's my favorite thing to do now, is it's more of a peripheral effect. But what I mean by that is I do it kind of off to the side. Let me show you. I use a magic wand. So, after the trick is over, I will gently top change the card one more time and leave it off to the side in the periphery. Okay, I'll set it aside. I'll put the rest of the cards back in the box, and I say, hey, let me show you something else. And if I were doing my table hopping tricks, I might have a rope trick I was going to show them. Here, examine this rope, check it out, make sure it's good and solid. And while they're looking at the rope, I notice this card, and I rub the wand against it as if to take out the wrinkles, and I let them see it, but I'm not presenting it to them. So they kind of see it in their periphery. It's something Harry Potter would do out of necessity. It's not really a trick presented to them. They kind of happen to glimpse over and they see that. And this effect sticks in their mind much longer than anything that you present to them, because they accidentally saw you do real magic, kind of like a real wizard would, out of necessity. How's that rope look? Pretty good? I'll show you a cool trick. And they're going, ah. Anyway, that's Torn and Restored Transpo. I hope you have 30 years of fun with it like I did. A lot of performers do this. The idea is not to copy the way I do it or my presentation. Please don't do that. Find your own presentation if you want to do this disgusting trick, if it fits your personality. The reason I'm showing you this trick is not so much the card and mouth, which is the easy part, but it's the control and the way you have a card selected, and a little bit of the psychology behind that. I'm going to have her peek at a card. And what she does is she pushes her thumb up against the deck, and I encourage her to use your left thumb. She pushes the thumb against the card, and I get my break, just a slight break at the back. Just a tiny little break as she opens the deck. And what I'll do, when she puts her thumb on the deck, I push the deck towards her. That opens it up. So as soon as she touches the deck, don't let her rely, because sometimes they don't see the whole card. I'll move my hand towards her. That opens the break up and ensures she can see the deck. And then that means I'm in control. I'll move my hand back away from her thumb now. Move it back towards myself when I know that she's seen it. So again, she puts her thumb out. She starts to open the deck. I just pop in and out. And while I do that, my comment is this. I say, I want you to peek at a card. And as soon as I feel her thumb on the deck, I give her a peek. I come back and I say, I want you to make sure you see the number and the suit of one of the 52 cards in the pack. So go ahead and take a peek. And she says, I just did. I said, no, you have to see the number and the suit, because the card is already on top, because I passed it to the top. See, if you just say, peek at a card, okay, got one? Yep, good, here we go. Now, I'm going to try to find your card. If you do that, it's no good. If the magician is happy with the status quo, they know that something's wrong. So I always like to put myself at a little bit of conflict, put my status a little bit lower by saying, peek at a card. I want you to remember the number and the suit. And this is when I'm going to pass it to the top. And I'll show you the mechanics of that. First of all, I need to get a break above the card. My break is below the selection. And to get a break above it, I just kick it out with my pinky a bit. And then pull down on that jogged card. So there. You can do that with two hands too, just before the pass as you cover here. Just kick it out and pull it down. Now you have a break above it. Now I do a classic pass, and the way I do it is I jam my pinky way up inside the break, and my right hand covers the deck. This is the corner you have to watch out for, so I use this thumb to cover the action there. Drag the top half across, and as you come back under, that's when you do the riffle. It's going to have that noise. Now, to cover some of the action, I've acquired this little gesture where I rock the deck like this. And in rocking the deck, it kind of covers that bad corner. And you're excused for rocking the deck because it's part of the riffle, apparently. So again, that classic pass looks like that. And it happens very quickly. It's just a little gesture while I'm talking to her. So she's taking a peek at a card. I get a break above the card. I say, you have to see the number and the suit of one of the 52 cards. Go ahead and take a peek. And she says, I did already. And that's just a great position to be in. Because sometimes I'll say, well, I didn't get my finger in the back, so it's not going to work. And people really buy that, especially if you really act like people love the magician in trouble. They don't want to see you succeed. They like it when you fail. So for her to get the one up on you could be a funny moment. When you say, well, I don't think it's going to work, lady, because you didn't open the deck enough. Sometimes I'll even do a double lift right here. I'll get a break and hold two cards as one. I go, there's no way I'm going to find your card to prove that it's not on top. And I say, well, I don't know how I'm going to do it, And then to find the card now, I turn the deck face up. And again, depending on what presentation you choose, you'll have plenty of opportunity while you're talking and pattering away to fold the top card of the deck now, the back card. And again, just like in the Tourney Restored Transpo, it's the Mercury card fold. Push it up against your thumb, fold it in half, square it against the bottom of the deck. And you're done. All that's left is to stick the whole thing in your mouth. And I'm putting this is a very disgusting video I'm making here. You get extra points if you can unfold it with your tongue. That looks a lot better. Have fun with that. Card in mouth. See you later. Hi, everybody. This is my friend Black. This is Ace, and this is Rocky. And I'm going to show you how Rocky works. Dogs don't think he's real. Don't worry, but humans do. You know he's not real, right? Yeah, you licked him. That's good. To hypnotize the animal, all you have to do is look right into its eyes. Let me try it with you. 4 fingers make you boogie. Look right here. All right. We'll do it with the raccoon. It's easy. You guys can wander off anytime you want. You stay here, Ace. You're a nice one. The raccoon has a spring inside. These are made by Magic Masters. Hi, Ace. In Stone Mountain, Georgia. And Magic Masters was a chain of magic shops I used to work, and we would demo these raccoons over the counter. The first time I ever saw Rocky Raccoon was Dennis Sowers. He was the demonstrator, and in his hands, Rocky came to life. It was amazing. I called him Lord of the Springs. Jeff Justice was the first person I ever saw do Rocky back in the late 70s, early 80s. He had a comedy club routine, very original routine with a raccoon. So, as you know, Rocky has a little spring inside, and I've been asked to give a few little Rocky tips, how to make him look alive. Well, it's so easy to do. What you do is you put your thumb on top and you find the spring underneath and put your finger and you hold his butt right against your body there. So with a little control, when you pull back with your thumb, he looks up. Look, just like that. That's the first move you learn. You give him a little love under his chin. Then the second move is you pull like a trigger. I use my second finger under his chin there, and he eats out of your hand like that. to make him run up the body. It's just a wiggle of 4 fingers like this, and just let him balance on your hand, and this hand is there for guidance. Don't move him with this hand. This hand is basically a tunnel, a light tunnel that he runs through. That's only there for just to make sure he doesn't fall over sideways. Because if you do this, it doesn't look good. That doesn't look like anything. But if you let him run, the spring do the work, and let him run up your body, it looks like he's actually scampering up your body through your hands like that. The other thing to do is use the spring. Don't provide all the motion. If I want him to look left, I pull on the spring this way. If I want him to move his head back the other way, I don't pull the other way because that's a human speed and it looks like just a puppet, a sock puppet on your hand. If you release the energy in the spring, he pops back very quickly. Like that, like this, like that. And I'm always dropping and gripping so you can giving little pats, little kicks up your arm, re-grip, squeeze, flip the tail, drop like that, pick up, squeeze, drop. So it's a quick sequence of gripping, releasing, flipping the tail, pulling back with the thumb and release. See how he springs back? Up, down, left, right, kick with the fingers. And I have this little figure 8 kind of thing that I do. I pull hard this way and then let him go out that way. Then I'll pull back this way and let him come this way. Then I'll kick him and do it again. And that little sequence just gives him a little bit of life. Dennis Sowers was so great. He would stand there in the shop and he would be talking to you and he'd say, "Don't tell Rocky, but his mother was hit by a car last night." And you would see this raccoon go, "What? What do you mean?" And it had a whole separate agenda, or would listen to a noise while Dennis was talking about something else. He'd be paying attention to people on the other side of the shop. And one of the things I like to do with him is to hypnotize him. Come on up here, buddy. Out like a light. Look at that. And a little dance. Boogie, boogie, boogie. So anyway, that's Rocky. Have lots of fun. Oh, to make him jump on people is another one. You squish him and you throw him. You actually just spring with your hand like that, but the spring does half the work. So you squish him up and give him a little toss and he'll fly whoop, right at him. Have fun. See you guys later. Hi, I'm going to show you Aunt Mary's terrible secret. You need 52 $1 bills in an envelope, and you need 52 playing cards in a box. I'm going to walk through the routine here and show you the principles as we go along. So, from a shuffled deck, a normal shuffled deck, we begin. I explained the game, and I made up this whole Civil War history about the grave diggers and the bodies in the grave. If you turn 2 cards over, you're either going to get a pair of reds or a pair of blacks. I demonstrate that for the audience. Now right here I'm getting a lot of reds, or you'll get a mismatch pair. As I deal through the cards showing these various color combinations, I wait until I get 4 of one color in one pile. So this is the demonstration explanation phase. And I challenge them. I say, there are only 3 ways the cards can fall. If you take a shuffled deck and turn them 2 at a time, only 3 possibilities. A pair of reds, a pair of blacks, or a mismatch pair. Can you think of another combination? And they go, nope, it's fantastic. So I put all the cards on top of the deck. Now here's my 4. I'll put them on top of the deck, but I'll in-jog that jack. In this case, I'll in-jog it. Now I bring out the money. And look what I do. I put the envelope right on top of the deck. So as the envelope touches my thumb, I open my pinky and I move those 4 cards off at an angle so that I can hide them underneath the envelope. I put the envelope on top of the deck in order to open it and facilitate bringing out the money. So nothing looks suspicious here. This is all as you would do it. And I show this stack of bills. Now when I pick up the envelope and the bills together, those 4 cards are taken underneath. Now I set all of this on top of a card box. I want to make it easy to pick those black cards up again when I need them. So I set it right there off to the side. Nobody sees those cards hidden underneath. Here's what I do. So I give it 1 Pharaoh shuffle, and then I transfer them to the bridge type shuffle so they see that shuffle. It looks more like what they're used to. And then I'll give the deck a few overhand shuffles like this. I want them to get used to that sequence. I'm going to do it 3 times. The 3rd time I do it, it's going to be false. But this time it's just a couple shuffles, and I set the deck down. And I say, now we're going to play the game. What color would you like? And they choose a color. Now, if they say black, I turn to this person and I say, so that leaves you with, and they always pick the opposite color, red. You want red. So I guess I'll take the mismatch. Story of my life. Okay. I'm going to shuffle the cards now, I tell them. And I open the deck halfway, and I begin to shuffle, but I don't complete it. This is very important because in the third phase, you're going to do the same thing. And there's a reason you're going to split the deck for them to shuffle. But I want them to get used to that. So I make a running gag out of it. So the first time I do it, I go, let me shuffle the... You don't trust me, do you? I don't like the look on your face. All right, smarty pants, you shuffle the cards. Now, if you've determined that this person can shuffle like that, that's great. I ask them in advance. I say, can you shuffle like that? No? Then I make these rosettes. I make these little designs, and I invite them to smash those flowers into each other. That accomplishes the same thing as a good riffle shuffle, because I turn them face up, and I just slide them on the table. I say, look what you did. Completely random. That's what this game is all about. Now you're going to see who won the game. So you start dealing the cards over, and this is the boring part of the routine. You have to keep a line of patter up and keep it interesting as you describe this con game. I get the mismatch. Look, pair of red for you. Mismatch for me, pair of red. So you go through this and you're talking. And you can talk about anything you want to at this point, but just try to be quick and pay attention to the cards. Let them see that they're really coming off the top. Try to be as clear as possible. Because of the mirror skill principle, the person with red will have 4 more cards than the person with black. Why is that? That's because you stole 4 black cards out of the deck. Normally, these 2 piles would be equal unless you take some cards out to begin with. So, now look at this. Now this is rare. You'll usually get more cards than either of them, but in this case, right now, it looks like red might actually have more than me. Let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 cards. That was a good run of red. I don't think I have 18. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I only have 16, but I'm still going to win. I add 4 to my number, and I slip them in there verbally. Because 4 are missing from the deck, I can claim those. Here's what I mean. I say, everybody count your cards. Count them silently. Let's see. And I say to myself, 4. And then I start counting. And I add these 2. And I say to myself, 6, 8, 10, 12. Now I start counting out loud. 14, 16, 18, 20. I say. I only have 16. But I say 20. He says he has 18. That's 38. I do the math right there with him. I go 20 and 18 is 38. That must mean you have. Now 52 minus 38 is what? 14, right? So when they say they have 14, which they do, I go, okay, 38 and 14 is, and I let them finish it. 52. I go, good. I knew it was a full deck. So you've just verbally added 4 cards back in, and I say, I win. So now, I say, well, I guess I win. And with that, I pick up the envelope and the money and the 4 cards. Again, it's perfectly natural to set that on top of the deck, open the envelope, slip the money back inside, and you say, well, boys, it was lots of fun playing with you. I guess I'll take my money and go home. Then I stop and I say, that's how the game was played. The dealer always wins. Now I set these aside again. I said, let me show you the con. Now I start shuffling again. And I do the things that I'm trying to condition them to. I'll give it a pharaoh shuffle. It's not perfect this time. I'll give it an overhand shuffle, and I say, let me show you what's really going on. When I told you there were only 3 ways the cards could fall, red, red, black, black, and black, red, that's not quite true. There's another combination, black, red, and look, red, black. Not only do I get the black-red cards, I get the red-black cards. So the odds are going to be double in my favor. And you say, and that's how the game was played. That's how they took advantage. And people go, wow. And you say, yeah, they believe that there's equal odds all the way around. Oh. And you say, look, tell you what, let's play again. This time, I won't play. Let me Oh, you still don't trust me, do you? And I split the deck for them to shuffle. And they can either shuffle or they can make the rosettes again. But I always make it clear that they shuffled, you're responsible. Now, that first time I won, but that was cheating. This time, the money goes to the person who gets the most cards. I'll deal myself out. I won't even play. We know I'm going to win. So we won't even, I'll make my pile the discard pile. Look at that, 2 red. Oh, discards, red, black. Now watch what I do here. This is interesting. I'm going to turn my cards face down. There's a pair of black, red, black. I'm going to turn my cards face down. What I'm actually doing is I'm jogging all the red cards to the left, because I'll match this is the red side. In my mind, this is the black side. No matter which order they come up, I'm going to either move my thumb or not move my thumb, but I'm going to make sure the red cards, when I turn them face down, are telescoped to the left. So I'm making actually 2 piles of cards there, a red pile and a black pile. It doesn't have to be neat. I'm going to neaten it up later, but I'm just showing that I get all the discards and I'm turning them face down. I'm just ensuring that as I set them down, all those red cards are going to be on the left. And I asked them, don't count your cards yet. I want this to be a horse race. I want it to be a surprise. Don't look at them. Don't count them. We're going to find out who the big winner is. Well, we know I would have been the big winner because I'm getting the red and the black, but these are be discards. I'm not at the game. I've been trying to give this money away for 10 years. Nobody's won it yet, but today I feel like somebody's going to get lucky. Meanwhile, look what I do. I gather my cards. I square them just a little bit so they're nice and telescoped. Depending on the situation I'm in, I'll either strip them out this way at the table and give them a cut, or I'll pick them up in my hand and strip them this way and give it kind of a running cut. Now I say count your cards. I've separated the colors. Sometimes there's stragglers if I was a little sloppy. So I'll now look at the cards, and look at that. I have 2 black cards. Well, actually 3 that got mixed in, and that's no problem because they're counting the cards. As I look at them, I'll just call those to the back. I'll say, wow, looks like I would have won. They're not even paying attention to me. I put those back with the black cards. So the black cards are on top of the red cards in my pile. Those colors are separated. What'd you get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what'd you get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What? You don't know how many they're going to get. They could have got 16 each, but they will be equal because of the mirror skill principle. I've added those 4 cards back in the deck. They're going to be equal. So now I put the red cards back on the bottom with the other red cards. The trick is now really over, apparently, according, in their mind's eye. I quickly give it a pharaoh shuffle. I'll cut at the separation, and I go, I can't believe this, you guys. Once I know that there's a perfect pharaoh, I'll give it that shuffle. I'll give it an overhand shuffle while I'm talking and say, I'm really sorry. But it's not a real overhand shuffle. It's just an optical shuffle. What I'll do is I'll pull half the deck, and I'll just slap these cards against those cards like that, and use my thumb, and it looks like a real shuffle. They see cards wiggling and moving, and it's convincing. They've seen the pharaoh shuffle, they've seen this shuffle. They say, I'm really sorry, I guess nobody wins. You know what would be fair? Tell you what, why don't you both just split the money? How about that? Now, the colors are alternating, and you're set up for the finale. Every other card is red and black. I'm going to show you now, what if I don't do a pharaoh shuffle? What then? Here's what I would do, and I have done many times, and it's almost better than the pharaoh shuffle portion. Since you know you're going to be doing this trick, if you take the time to prepare $52 in an envelope, you know you're going to be doing this trick. You might as well have a duplicate deck of cards already stacked in your pocket. Another box, or you can have them loose depending on how you want to do it, but you have a second deck stacked, red, black, in your jacket pocket over here. So that you can say, well, and you say, I'm really sorry that, and you put the deck away, you switch decks, and you pause, and you go, you don't look happy. You act like I gave you something and took it away. Tell you what, I feel your pain. Let's play one more time. And you've switched decks now. Now you take them out, and they're already stacked, red, black. Very strong. They have no reason to believe that you've switched decks. Anyway, they're going to shuffle the cards again. So even if they did think they were stacked, they get to nullify that thought by shuffling the deck in just a second. So what I do now is I had the money back to back, so I can find that separation point right there in the center, 26 bills. I say, that's yours to keep. On one condition, we play one more time, and you give me a chance to win a little bit back for bus fare, okay? Here's how we'll play. Let me shuffle the cards. Now, there's a principle called the Galbraith principle, and there are a lot of great tricks using the Galbraith principle. If you have a deck that's alternating red, black, and you give the deck a shuffle, just one, not two, just one shuffle, you have to make sure that the bottom card of each half is a different color. That's why I separate the deck for them each time, because this third time, I want to separate the deck for them again and make sure there's a different color on the bottom of each half. That's important. So once again, I'll say, shuffle the deck. And you say, for the final phase, for every pair of blacks he gets, you give him $2. For every pair of reds she gets, you give her $2. For every mismatched pair I get, you each only have to give me $1. Since the odds are double in my favor anyway, we should all go home with about the same amount of money. Am I right? And they all go, yeah, because you bamboozled them with numbers. So now you start your deal, and they're all going to be mismatched. That's the beauty of this routine, especially this last time. As you're dealing, they're dealing money. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You start by looking at the cards, and you're acting excited. 14, 16, 18. Look at my luck. Then you start looking away from the cards. 20, 22, 24. Can you believe this, folks? It's unbelievable. I've never been so lucky in my life. And there they are. All the pairs are mismatched. You're not even looking now, so they know that you knew this was going to happen. You could deal through the whole deck and take the $52, or you can do what I do sometimes. This is another way to do it. When you get down to 4, I gently separate them. Because I've only given them $24, they'll be out by this point, -1. I've given them each $24, and I had a $100 bill on the bottom of each pile that they didn't know about. So once I've done this and I split and I'm down to 4 cards and I separate them cleanly so they can see, when they look at their hand, they're each holding a $100 bill. This is just the little finale extra push you can do in the presentation if you want. You don't have to do it this way. But this allows you to recap. You shuffled the deck. You could have shuffled these cards. If you shuffled another red card next to this or another black card next to that, you go home with a $100 bill each. Let's say what you did here. Boom, boom. I'm so sorry. Snap, snap. You take the money back. You stick it back in the envelope. And there you have Aunt Mary's terrible secret. Hope you like it. Okay, I'll be the first one to say it. Paul Harris is a genius. He is. I grew up reading his books, and I did Color Stunner from Paul Harris for many years. And then I changed it a little bit over time, and it's become this routine where I tell the story of Di Vernon, the professor. And the way I do this is I try to bait the hook a little bit, and I toss it out there, and I start a conversation. I said, yeah, I've been doing this a long time. It's really fun. Boy, I've seen a lot of great things in magic, a lot of memories, a lot of magical things have happened. And I'll just kind of throw those lines out there. And eventually they'll say, like what? Tell us the story, Magic Dave. And I go, well, there was the time at the Magic Castle. And I'll explain who Di Vernon was and tell this story. Here's what you have. You have a deck of cards, and you have one extra card, that red jack. Now, in Paul Harris's original routine, he didn't make use of the duplicate of the jack. He didn't make use of the blue jack in his routine. I do, and that's one of the differences here. I have that blue jack second from the top. I've been doing tricks all night with a red deck of cards. I'll put the red deck of cards in my pocket. I'll switch it for this deck while I'm looking for my rope or something, and I'll leave this off to the side. Now I'll do the ring and rope routine, or I'll do the salt routine, or a coin trick. And then I'll talk to them about magic, and then eventually I'll talk about Vernon and the Magic Castle. And oh boy, there was that one night I'll never forget. A young man came in and challenged the professor. It's the greatest trick I ever saw. Now I'll take these out, and to them, it's the same deck I've been using all night. It's the same red deck, but actually they're all blue, and the other jack of hearts is second from the top. Here's what you need to do. You need to get that blue jack into the center, then you need to reverse that red jack at the back of the deck. And here's how I do that. I'll slip shuffle. I hate the Hindu shuffle. If I see somebody do this, my first thought is, color changing deck coming right up. They haven't handled the deck like this all night long, and all of a sudden they're doing this strange looking shuffle. Don't do the Hindu shuffle to prove that it's a red deck. That's just completely unnatural. As I've said before, the best way to prove that the deck is red is this. That's all you have to do. So don't run when you're not being chased. Don't try to overprove that it's a red deck. If you've done the deck switch, they've seen it all night long, they're going to accept that it's red. Plus, this routine gives you plenty of opportunities to show multiple red backs to cement the idea that this is a red deck. Anyway, having said that, here's one thing I do. I slip shuffle the deck. I'll turn the deck with the faces towards them, and I'll hold that red card back. I'll give it a slip shuffle as I shuffle half the deck off into my left hand. And then I will drop these cards so that other red jack is now in the center of the deck. Now I might turn my hand face up and show the red back again while I'm talking and telling the story about Vernon. So they see me shuffle and then they see the red back again. Now I'll turn the deck face up. I'll get a break, I'll do a buckle, and I'll reverse that jack, right? Kind of a half pass. I'll just reverse it like that under the deck and spread through to show the cards. As I tell the story about Vernon, I'll in-jog that red card, that red jack, right? And I might even set the deck down for a little while I'm talking. Now I want to force that jack. And one of the best ways to do it is a cut force. They'll always say stop on the third cut. I'm pretty confident in that. You could also do a dribble force right at the break and have them pick the jack. They just say stop. But what I do is this cut force, and it goes nicely into this routine. I say to them, Vernon had the kid pick a card. And then under my breath, I say, here, just say stop anywhere. And they say stop at that cut. So you just hold a break and you go 1, 2, 3, and they'll always say stop after that third one. If they don't, you do a different trick. But I've never had a problem. Now, you buckle and get a break under above the reverse jack so that when I assemble the deck, I now have a break above that red jack, which is face down in the face-up blue deck. And I hold that break and I say, Vernon turned his back to shuffle the cards. And what you're going to do is this move. This is a move by Tenkai, and it's in Tarbell 7 of all places. That's where it's found. It's a little optical illusion. It looks like you're turning half the deck face up and half the deck face down, but all you're doing is rotating the halves and up-jogging one, and then you rotate them back like that. But while you're talking and you're not looking at your hands when you do this, you say, the kid turned half the deck face up and half the deck face down, and I'll give them a loose weave shuffle. It's not a perfect faro, and I'll try to shuffle that jack to the top. Now, be careful not to spread the cards in that other half, the face down, apparently half. I'll push them in at an angle and kind of show it like this. Be very careful about your angles. You don't want to flash a blue back by being lazy, because if people are seated at the table and you're standing, it's easy for them to see up under the deck. So always point the deck towards the floor as much as possible. So I square the deck and I say, look at that, what a mess. Now, here's what I'm going to do. And this is Paul Harris's idea. This is the whole reason I do this trick. I love this sequence that's coming up. It's the way that you're going to show not only multiple red cards, but you're going to show that the cards are mixed face up, face down. And it's a complete bluff. I love it. The first thing I do is I put the jack at the back of the deck. But I use this little dodge. I open the deck with my thumb. It looks like I'm going to put it in the center, but I move it all the way and I put it at the back of the deck and shove it in. Bit of an optical illusion. Now, I riffle up. This is Paul Harris's move. I'll riffle up, let's say, 3 cards, hold a break under 3. As I take the jack, now I have a break under 2, and I'll make the break bigger with my finger by moving my little pinky down a little bit, and you have now the tilt or the depth illusion. So it looks like I'm going to put that jack in the center of the pack, but I'm actually putting it third from the top. To enhance the illusion, I do this move at the same time. Daryl is the first person I saw do this. So you lift up as this goes third from the top into that open tilt. All right? But from the front, it looks like it's going to the center. Now, these 2 cards actually go into the center. Now I'll riffle up and maybe just hold 1 behind, do a tilt under 1 card with that face down card, and now I put the 4 into center. I might do the same thing with 1 card and then the 4. And just to break it up, I might do a tilt under 2 cards again. So they'll see 2 cards face up and then that same card again. But the illusion is that they're seeing lots of face down cards. Now, the hard part, you need to practice this so you can do it without looking at your hands. You have to do it all by feel, and that's what's going to convince them that these cards, and you're telling the story at the same time about the deck that was shuffled topsy-turvy by this kid while the professor's back was turned. If you have to study it and do it while you're looking at it, it's going to lessen the impact of this trick. Practice doing it without looking at it. You don't have to do it a lot. Just 2 or 3 times is enough to convince them that they're topsy-turvy and they're all red. And finally, on the last time, you actually stick it in the center of the pack, and you say, Vernon turned around, he blew some smoke over the deck and spread the cards, and there they were, all face up except for one. Don't spread all the way to the end because they'll see the other jack. But all the blue cards are face up now. They don't know they're blue yet. Now this switch took me a long time to figure out. I worked 4 years on this switch, and I had all these kind of biddle kind of switches I was trying and all these clever things. But finally this came to me. It's so simple. That's why I love it. I'm going to bevel the deck just a little bit to this side. And when I pull this jack out, that's the end of the trick as far as they're concerned. Now I'm going to do, I call it a friction switch. There's nothing to it. I just set the deck on top of the jack, and I move my right hand to the right. And that card, that other jack, sticks to my fingers. So I'm switching the jacks under the deck like that. It's almost like a top change. They shouldn't even be looking at your hands when this happens because the trick is over. What was your card? The Jack of Hearts. And that's the greatest trick I've ever seen. Drop the shoulders. I just give it a little tap. I make sure that's squared before I turn the deck over, and I lock that under my thumb, and I pause. So the jack is clipped underneath the thumb. The trick is over. Don't move around too much, because later I don't want them thinking, oh, he switched the deck when I wasn't paying attention. I like to lock it right out here and keep it in front of them for a long time as I say, you know what? I may have enhanced that story a little bit. Some of the details were not right. He didn't smoke a cigar, he smoked a pipe. He didn't drink brandy, it was always sherry. And he didn't use a red deck. If this were an accurate retelling, and I get a break under that red jack, and I use the pinky count, we'll talk about that later in the DVD. I use a pinky count, and I change this card into blue. I say if this were an accurate retelling, that would be blue. In fact, the whole deck would be blue. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to square that jack up with the deck and immediately do a double. I'll push off 2, and it looks like the same jack. They've just seen the face when it was red. So it looks like the jack is, or pardon me, when it was blue. So there's the jack, and the card underneath it is changed. Now I'll put this double underneath those, and I'll deal a few cards here. I'll put the whole packet underneath the deck, and now you could slowly show that and this builds the applause and the amazement, and I really milk it. Every single card the deck is blue. I need to palm that bottom card. I want to get it out of play because I want to end clean. But I'm not in a big hurry to do that because now I really act like the trick is over. You just get down to a few in your hand, and it doesn't matter if you throw them there or not, apparently. I'll buckle that bottom card and bottom palm it using my pinky. It's an Erdnase bottom palm like that. I'll fan these, and what I'll do is I'll go into my pocket. If I'm sitting at a table, it drops in my lap, but I usually go into my pocket as if I'm looking for the box. Now, sometimes I'll purposely leave the box in my pocket so that I have a reason, I'm motivated to go in there, and I go, I'm sorry that they'll only, the box didn't change, but part of it did right there. That was, you can just take those home, and I always give those away because having those blue cards in that red box is very impressive. So, Funner Color Stunner. Look up Paul Harris's original and see if you like the little changes I made. What's a good trick? Cups and balls. That's a good trick. Uses 3 cups. Guess what? I lost one many years ago. Then I had to come up with a trick with 2 cups. But I decided I like 2 cups because you know who'd use 2 cups? Hofzinser. He's pretty good. You know who else? Ramsey. Not too shabby. Tommy Wonder. Pretty darn good magician. I started out learning the classic Vernon routine from the Di Vernon Book of Magic. And then I lost one of the cups and I had to come up with a 2-cup routine. But I decided I really like it because there's a symmetry of action, cause and effect. Something happens here, the reaction happens over here. Also, this takes up less room on a table, like in a restaurant where you have limited rooms. And I'll go through my moves for you right now. Obviously, it uses a third little ball over here. And I always have, again, I like to begin and end clean. I have everything examined all the time. They check out the cups. They check out the little balls. I get the magic wand, and that's when I steal the third ball. I used to have a lot of little gags with squeakers and little mouse and all these things that I would do at the beginning. Doesn't matter. So let them look at it. So while I'm setting up, I'll just load that. I don't have a particular time that I load it. It's just while I'm having them examine everything, I'll put the extra ball under the right-hand cup. This goes under the arm, and there's a reason for that, a good reason. Because now I'm going to make the first ball disappear, right? Now, it's in my hand. Why do magicians always put things in the other hand to make it disappear? Was it not perfectly fine in this hand? Is there a reason I couldn't make it? Yes, because I have to pretend to put it in that hand. That's not good enough motivation. I've also seen this a lot, where they go like that and then make it disappear. That just looked like a game of hide and seek. There's no real reason to put it in your other hand. That's why the stick is good. It's a good motivator. It gives you a reason, because I want to make the ball vanish. I'm going to wave the magic wand over the ball. Watch as I wave the, can't do it. Oh, well, I put it in that hand. Oh, then I can grab the wand. There we go. Now I can make it disappear. So it's kind of corny, but that's actually the reason. By having the stick under your arm, you can make the ball disappear, and it gives you a place to look. There's kind of that crossing of the looks misdirection. So remember, if you want them to look at something, you look at it yourself. If you want them to look at you, you look at them. And that's the kind of misdirection I use for this first ball, because the heat is kind of on. So the ball's going to disappear with a wave of the wand. Now I look at the wand, and then I look at them when I do the pass. And the pass is very simple. I'm just going to touch it. I'm going to roll it from here to here. So it's going to happen like that. This will just touch the hand, and the hand closes. Now, don't close it into a tight fist like that. What I do is I look at the ball, I look at the wand, I look at them, I make the pass. Now I take the wand. The ball is now rolled into finger palm. I'll take the wand. Now watch this hand. This is a technique I learned from people like Roger Klaus and Mike Skinner, John Cornelius, these great magicians. Little techniques like, if you have your hand just stone cold closed, there's no reason they think it's still there. But if you do little things like open your hand. Now, if they're sitting and you're standing, they can't see up into your hand. So it's good to give the illusion of weight. This goes for coin magic too. Same technique for coins. But you can bounce it a little bit, and you can move it around with your thumb, apparently, like you're doing something there. They see those thumb muscles moving. They know you wouldn't do that with an empty hand. There's a reason that's going on. Or just do these kind of oddball little, just these little finger things you would do if you had a ball in your hand and you were manipulating it and trying to get into a proper position. Do those things to make it look natural. Meanwhile, to add to the naturalness even more, because this is all about being natural. That's what misdirection is. And this gives a very casual look. It's a drummer's wand spin. Johnny Brown, great Texas magician who's no longer with us, showed me this. If you have something finger palmed, you can still throw that wand around your thumb like that. Drummers use that wand spin. You're just going to throw it around the thumb, and it doesn't disturb whatever's held in your finger palm. But it just gives a little air of naturalness while I'm bouncing and talking. And then I say, now the first ball disappears like this. And I do this as a gag. You know, I say, watch, it disappears, and it's gone to the ether. It's either there or it isn't. I don't know what happened. Oh, whoops. Now, what am I doing there? I'm misdirecting. That's what I'm doing. The last thing I want them to think, they're thinking, is it in a sleeve? Did it fall on the floor? What the heck? Because the first thought is going to be over here. If you just go like this, watch. It's gone. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just seen a ball. That's the first thought. They look at the other hand. So I want their mind going 2 or 3 places before they even have a chance to think of that. That's why this little routine. And again, this is 30 years of me doing this at tableside, hundreds and thousands of times, because I watch where they watch. So I go like this, I do this, watch, vanishes, oops. And now while they're trying to get their head around it, I unload it. I drop it in here as I go for the next one. And now they're watching really close. I go, okay, he got me that first one. I'm going to, get out the eye drops, and I'm going to watch this one. So now they watch close, and I do a slidini. And what I mean by that is I hunch over my shoulders. and all the attention. I curl my body right around the ball. I go, now watch the next one. Watch. Did you see it go yet? Tension, no. That's because you didn't blink. Relax. Move back on the ball of my feet, swing, drop the shoulders, and they laugh on the joke. Did you see it go? No, that's because you didn't blink. You need to blink more. Why am I putting it in the other hand right now? It's in order to free up this hand to roll up the sleeve. I want to tug up my sleeve. Now I put this ball in the other hand in order to pull up this sleeve. But that's just a pass. That's another version of the pass. You're just going to roll it down the fingers as you close this hand and bounce it around. So again, that sequence, I load that ball, watch. Did you see it go? Tension? No. That's because you're watching too close. I can't do it when you don't blink. You need to blink and drink. That's what magicians like. When I blow, it disappears like that. They're going, is it in his mouth? Is it his sleeve? Is it on the floor? Well, it's over here. And watch as they jump back. Boom. And now they can relax. Because they've examined everything. They know there's only two. Now, again with the tension. The shoulders are up. Watch as this one mystically, and I reach in and apparently take it, I don't do anything, travels from here over to here like magic. And they laugh. And this one mystically makes a journey over here, all the way across the sands of time. Boom, they change places. Laugh. Drop this ball in this cup, so I add, there's two there. And I do this move like that. And it looks like the ball is in the cup. This is a move I saw in college. I was watching a film in psychology class. And David Steinberg was the host of a party. And he was talking about group dynamics and psychology. It was an educational film that they only showed in college psychology 101 classes. And he mentioned that over in the corner we have a magician. Watch how the crowd is misdirected by his moves. It was Mike Skinner in this film when I was in college doing the cups and balls, doing the Vernon routine. And he did this move, and I have never seen it in print. It might be out there somewhere. But it was beautiful because his hands apparently never touched the ball. He just kicks it under the cup like that. But what you're actually doing is kicking it all the way under the cup to the other side. It's almost like a golf shot. You have to kind of line it up, and you don't look at you line it up, and then you look up when you do the move. And what you do is you just kick it, and you're going to hold this cup here so you can just trap it there, like that. So there it is. So now I pull back. I've knocked the ball under the cup, apparently. I toss the wand into the hand with the ball, and I say, you lift up this cup. And as they move, I might look at this person. I'm going to toss the wand and ball together into the other hand. And you lift up this cup, or I might lift it up, and the ball jumps across. That's very strong at that point. Now you stack the cups and add that ball in as you stack them. And now you're going to do the Charlie Miller drop-through move. This is from Di Vernon's original routine. It's Charlie Miller's idea. It's a great little move. I always love doing this because it looks like the ball goes right through. You just drop that down, and then you have to time it right. And there it is. In the Di Vernon Book of Magic, Louis Ganson, the author of the book, mentions that if you lift up this cup and that ball is not moving, it looks like it's been there a week, like it was already there. The whole key is to make that ball move when you lift up this cup. Then it looks like it just got there, right? That's a small point. If you don't think that's very important, if that ball moves, it's such a stupid little thing, really, if you think about it. But that's the whole key to magic. And I love thinking about Charlie Miller and Di Vernon sitting in the Magic Castle up in the library, and maybe a layman is getting a tour through the library, and their guide says, oh, we're lucky, look over there. The two greatest magical minds of our time, Di Vernon, the professor, and Charlie Miller, the greatest sleight of hand man of our generation, are over there talking about magic. And you can imagine what that layman is thinking. What gem could they be saying? If I were a fly on the wall, what would I hear? And what they would be saying is, no, Charlie, the ball's got to wiggle. It's got to move. See, like it just got there. See, it's got to wiggle there. Yeah. That's it. That's as deep as magic goes. That's the essence. But that's why I love it. That's why I'm still interested in it, because of details like that. All right, I digress. Anyway, here's another version of that that I would do to fool magicians. I would make the ball drop through, and it's obviously in this hand, but it's not. Because what I did was a little trick there. I secretly drop it behind the hand and behind the cup into the waiting other hand as you lift up. Because if I had somebody in the audience I knew was watching close and really playing hide and seek with the ball, I might throw that sequence in. I might do that, keep this hand closed as if it contained the ball. It's actually here. And then throw them off the scent by loading it there, putting that on top, and then I would open my hand for them like that and say, watch. And they go, what? Wait a minute. Too late. Boom. And you're way ahead of them. All right. Now let's get into the final load sequence. You have a ball between the cups. I'll pick up this ball, put it in my pocket. That's when I grab my first lemon. I didn't put the lemons in my pocket yet. I will tell you, for purposes of this video, this jacket doesn't have the right size pockets. This is for walking around. This is not for doing cups and balls. These lemons are big. They had a good crop this year where I am. But I'm going to put a couple in there for now. But normally I wouldn't put so many big lemons in the same pocket. But I'll put 3 in there for now. And sometimes, if I want to be really cruel, I'll stick a few other lemons in other pockets. Sometimes I'll use smaller limes or smaller lemons. I can put as many as 5 into a jacket that fits them and it doesn't look too puffy. Sometimes I'll just put them in other pockets because you have plenty of misdirection. So here's the loading sequence. I'm going to stand up on this riser so I'm more at an angle I would be, at a height I would be at a normal restaurant table. So you can see this loading sequence. I'll pretend to put this ball into my pocket, and what I do is a pass. The way I do that is I just hold it this way and jerk my hand like that, and this hand just grabs face down. So it's kind of, that's kind of what I would do. If I were just picking up a ball off the table and go through it in my pocket, it would look like that. So I just try to imitate that natural action. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's just the miming gesture fools them. I go into the pocket and I steal a lemon. I have to be real careful about flashing that yellow. I might give a slight body turn. But what I do is when I drop my hand to my side, I always grip some fabric of my jacket. That way I know I'm not leaving a window open. If I pinch fabric, I know I'm good. The other thing I do is I leave the wand over the edge here. I'll show you why in just a second. So pretend to put that in my pocket. Then I'll lift this one up. And this is when I come forward. Watch this. I grab the wand. Now, because I'm pinching the wand, my hand looks more natural than if I were going like this. I want to try to avoid this kind of thing that a lot of people do when they load these cups, just bring it way out of frame and it looks kind of unnatural. So I wanted to sneak the lemon into the action, bring it right up there under the cup without being caught. So that's why the wand is a good strategy, because it allows you to keep your hand in this position, which is a little cramped, but if you're holding something, it looks fine. So I go like that, and it's immediately shoved into the cup like this. And often what I'll do is I still have this in my hand, is I'll hold it in, pick up the ball, put it in my pocket, grab another lemon, and then there's one ball there. I'll load this ball. I might pick up the wand, tap, drop it down, grab it here as I come forward and show now 2. And I load the next lemon. I'll hold it in with my finger as I set the cup down like that. So now I have 2 lemons loaded. Now I go into kind of a jazz sequence where I just kind of make it up as I go along. I'll pretend to put the ball in my pocket. I'll leave it in my hand. I'll pretend to do a transfer, but I'm just tapping and showing the other ball. And what I'll do is I'll pick up the cup. I'll slide my 3rd finger under the lemon and release the ball from pinky. And that way it looks like the balls are coming back under the empty cups as well. And I'll just kind of pull them out of their nose and just do this little kind of flurry, to cement the idea of empty cups. Eventually, they go into the pocket, and I grab the 3rd lemon. A little tap, I'll put the wand in the hand, and there's the first lemon. I'll load the 3rd lemon now. As soon as that lemon appears, what I normally do is I'll go right into my pocket. Now, I don't have the 4th lemon. I'll have 4 lemons in my pocket. I'll go right into my pocket, and I'll say, I was looking for one this size. That's the motivation. And I'll put it back in. That lets me get a 4th lemon. Now, sometimes, depending on the jacket I have and the size of the lemons, I'll have 5 pieces of fruit in my pocket, or I'll go into the other pocket. My hands are big enough. At this point, the misdirection is so strong, I can hold 2 lemons in my hand. And if I want to be extra cruel and I know I can get away with it, I pinch the cloth here. I got 2 lemons going. I'll go like that. There's the other lemon. Now I'll load this one where that one was. I'll pick up both, even though they don't stack, and I'll go, wait a minute, something's going on here. I'll go like that. There's the 4th lemon, And slowly, as they realize that that's impossible, you get 5 lemons out of the cups, and you've gone to your pocket not as many times. So it's quite impressive if the misdirection is strong enough and everything works out in your pockets. But yeah, I've done many times up to 5 lemons. Often it'll just be 3, depending on the size of them. One of my favorite tricks. A lot of resources out there for learning this trick, and I highly encourage you to learn this classic of magic.
Mr. David Williamson, where and when were you born?
Xenia, Ohio, little town in the Midwest.
What did your parents do for a living?
And he worked in various factories. He was kind of blue-collar guy, confirmed. So that's what he did to make money, but then he also was kind of a handyman. One of those guys who could take a car apart and rebuild it, and so he was a very hard-working guy.
And your mom?
And my mom worked at the local college. She started out in the budget office, and then she ended up overseeing the big television stations. She was the general manager of the local public broadcasting station at the college.
And what were you like as a child?
I was just a happy kid. I was shy. I had 2 brothers. We had a lot of fun together. And
how would you spend your day with your brothers?
I was fighting with my older brother, usually, and beating up my younger brother, so it kind of trickled downhill. And I would put a towel around my neck, and with a safety pin, I thought I was Superman, and then I thought I was Tarzan. I'd climb all the trees. And
of course, as like almost every magician, you got magic set for Christmas.
Yes, I got a magic set. I was thrilled. I was about 9 years old. And that year, a lot happened. I think I was in 4th grade. We had a little reader about Houdini. And at the end of the story, they taught the French drop. I learned it pretty well. And my teacher said to me, Mrs. Moore, she patted me on the head, she goes, maybe someday you'll be a magician. And that just, ding, the little neurons kind of froze in place there, and a lot of electricity went to that nerve bundle in my brain and created a pathway, and that stuck. And then that year, a magician came to our school, Shepard the Great, and my teacher knew that I was interested in magic, so she talked to the magician, and he allowed me to come backstage and help him load his gear into his van with the rabbit and the top hat painted on the side. I just felt honored, and I knew I was kind of in the fraternity then. You know, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
How does that episode compare with the one you shared at EMC, the Quacky the Clown?
Quacky the Clown came later, so I had that love of magic. So when I talked about I met Quacky after the tornado in Xenia, I was about 12 or 13 years old. And I was dabbling in magic at that point and interested in it and reading Boys Life magazine and things like that. And then when I met Quacky and he let me follow him around, it just cemented the idea even further. It's like, I see a guy actually making a living and traveling around the Midwest. I just had a romantic notion of what it would be to be a professional performer.
What do you think it was about magic that fascinated you so much?
You know, just an escape. My parents divorced around that age when I was young, and there was a lot of turmoil in our house, emotional turmoil. So magic was obviously an escape, but it was also a way for a shy kid to put himself out there a little bit and get noticed by other people in school. You know, school, as you know, is a very competitive place for a kid, and there's a lot going on.
And were you a natural performer?
No, I wasn't a natural performer. It took a while.
Back in those days, did you have like a favorite book or a favorite trick that you'd like to perform more often?
Well, I got Amateur Magician's Handbook out of the library when I was about 11 or 12, and that was a great revelation. That changed my mind. Henry Hay, he was a journalist who was also a great writer and a fan of magic. Even in the introduction, his enthusiasm for magic, and he talked about his experiences as a young man, meeting his idol, T. Nelson Downs, and just he talked about these great men of magic that he admired, you know, John Mulholland and so forth. Yeah, I knew that there was a group of people out there somewhere in the world, you know, sharing these secrets, and I wanted to be part of that.
And do you remember what was the first serious show you did for family or friends?
But I do remember one moment, and it was early on. I had my grandfather make me a prop that I just imagined. I didn't read it in a book. I'd seen some props in books, but I knew I wanted to show an empty box, put the lid on, hocus pocus, lift off the box, and then reach in and pull out a bunch of silks. So he built me to my specifications, this big box, and I still have it, this big box, and one of the sides was a flap that went in like this on the back, right? This was in school. I think it might have been in 6th grade, probably 11 or 12 then. And I took a bunch of scarves and handkerchiefs from my mom and my grandmother, and I tied them up in a bundle. I didn't even know how to fold them or anything. I just wadded them up and put a string around them and then put a nail at the back of the table. So there's this bundle of silks, big wad. And there's this box, and I hadn't even really rehearsed it. I rehearsed a little bit in my room, but so I showed the box empty. As I was putting the lid on, my arm reaches back. It shoves the wad up inside the box, you know, because the flap had to open like this. And then I go to pull my hand out, but I couldn't get my hand out. You could see the box moving around, and it was almost like a comedy routine. So, you know, I was panicking, and people are like, so finally I had to just, with one hand, I lifted off the lid and pulled off the handkerchiefs, and I lifted up the flap to let my hand out, you know. And
How long between that moment and the one where you start
oh my God.
one of these?
What the heck? Can I borrow that, actually? That's not a bad idea for getting work.
That's a gift for you.
That got me a little work, really. I'll wear that 30 years in the past. That'll fit. I worked in a barber shop shining shoes and doing a little magic tricks for the customers. The barber let me do some magic tricks. Charlie Miller, he was a character, full of stories, always had a joke. I just loved sitting in his shop on Saturdays, downtown Xenia, and people would bring their shoes in, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had my shoe polish, I had black and brown. But anyway, I used to wear the t-shirt, Magician for Hire, because once a year we had a street fair, and I would stand out on the street fair in front of the barbershop with my little table that my grandpa helped me put felt over and staple under the bottom, and I would do card tricks, and I would go to the county fair, and every time there was an event outdoors, I was always out there doing tricks. From the age of about 13, 14, 15, I was wearing my little Magician for Hire t-shirt and just all over Xenia doing tricks for birthday parties and at the library and at the old folks home, things like that.
So there were also a lot of gags that the old ones would play on the young ones. Were you a victim?
Oh yes, of course we were. We were always victims. That's what young magicians are for. They're fodder for the old magicians. My dad used to have a brother in Texas, so we would go to Texas every summer, and he would drop me off at the TAOM convention a few times. And some old guy comes by and he says, we want you two boys up in the presidential suite at midnight for the Order of Merlin meeting. And we're like, whoa, there's an induction ceremony, be there. Ooh, so we were all excited. We didn't know what this was. We were so proud of ourselves for being, you know, invited up to the Order of Merlin Induction Society, and we're brought into this room, into this suite, and there's a private dining room, and the doors open and it's dark, but there's candles everywhere. And I remember, I don't know who all the guys were, but it's a bunch of old gray-headed magicians you see around the conventions and you never talk to because you're the cool teenagers. But Jay Marshall was definitely there, and Ed Campagna was there, the guy who would run, he was the boss of the TAOM in those years. He was an interesting guy. He worked for NASA, and lots of stories there. They were all sitting around this table with these candles, and it was very intimidating, and they were all had towels on their heads, like swamis, like genie hats, you know, like turbans, not genie hats. And so Johnny and I come in, it's like the Wizard of Oz, you know how they go down the hallway and they're shaking, we're shaking in our boots. And they said, you have been chosen to be inducted into the Voodoo Society of the Order of Merlin. Oh. And so they had this ceremony with all this double talk. I forget exactly what was said, but they had us put the names of two wizards, Willard from the west and so, you know, Herman from the east, and we recited these incantations, and it was all very serious and very mysterious. And finally we had two voodoo balls, and they said, put both voodoo balls in one hand, and we did. And they said, now squeeze the magic voodoo balls. And we squeezed them, and all the guys sitting around the table went, oh, like this. And then they break into laughter, and they go, okay, get lost, next. And they bring in two more scared teenagers, and just did that all night because they're large children and thought it was hilarious.
What was your first magic competition then?
There was a contest, I think, in Galion, Ohio, a little town in Ohio. And the guy who ran that convention had some great artists come in. He had, and my mom again sent me up on a bus there, and I stayed with the organizer of the convention. And when I would wake up in the morning, there at the kitchen table was Del Rey, Jerry Andrus, and Slidini, because those are the three people he brought in. And that was fantastic for me. And that was the first competition I was in there, and that's the first time I met a young Michael Amar and his amazing talent, and he really opened my eyes. And so that was great. And ever since then, I was so glad, because he came up to me after the competition. He goes, "Boy, that was really good there. I love what you do with the this and that." And we became friends. And Gary Plants was there, another big influence in my early, sleight of hand education. He knew a lot, and those were my guides, Gary Plants and Mike Amar. But entering that competition, I realized that what the competitions were for. It was a great showcase. Every time I've entered a competition, and I've only entered a few, 2 or 3, good things have happened. And I don't mean winning a prize, but I met people. People come to talk to me. You get jobs, or you make friends for life. So
You just mentioned a couple of times, and just now, your mother, like taking you here, leaving you there.
Yes.
And I heard she also became an expert on the pests.
She did. She could spot one a mile away. No, I know what you're talking about. There was a story years ago. There was a restaurant in Indianapolis, Illusions, and Chris Kenner worked there, and Homer Lewag and Mike Close, great magicians from Indianapolis area, would hang out there. I worked there for a week early on. And Bill Kalush used to come down from Detroit and visit on the weekends and hang out a little bit. And Bill was the underground guy. He was the guy who had the best pass in the world. I mean, it was invisible. He had to work on it, and he still does. He rarely does it, you know. If you're lucky, he'll do it for you. Steel spring fingers, and those cards just didn't move. And meanwhile, he did the pass. So my mom came to visit me that week when I was working at Illusions. And we're at the dinner table, and I see Bill Kalush over there talking to the guys. And I told her, I said, "Mom, this guy's going to come over, and I'm going to ask him to do a card trick for us. And when I touch your toe with my foot, just look at him and say, nice pass. You won't know what it means. You don't worry about the context. When you feel me tap your toe, just look at him in the eye and just say, nice pass, just like that." She said, okay. So Bill comes over, and he's a dapper, and he's, good-looking guy, and he's very polite to my mother, and we have a nice conversation. I go, "Bill, would you show my mother?" "I would be happy to do a trick for you, Mrs. Williams." And he takes the cards out and does this beautiful trick. And when he did the pass, I mean, I'm assuming he did the pass. I didn't see anything, but it was the right time for a pass to happen, so it was completely invisible. I tap my mom, and she looks up and says, nice pass. And the blood drained out of his face, and he just kind of, hesitated for a minute, and his eyes unfocused. And it was great, because Bill is always in control. And the legend grew of Williamson's mom. Can see everything, knows all.
We also found this reference in the Linking Ring magazine for 1981. It's a report on the St. Louis Ring in Missouri, and it says, "The afternoon spring show was opened by David Williamson, who was produced through a magic doorway by assistant Kevin Doll. David featured dove manipulations, vanishes, and the production of an assistant by means of the tip-over trunk." Is this the same David Williamson?
No.
Good.
There is another David Williamson, and that's him.
Okay, good. This is 1991.
1991.
1981.
1981. No, that wasn't me.
It was in 1981 at the Pittsburgh IBM convention that you won the Gold Cup trophy.
Yes, I did.
How do you remember that? What did it mean to you back then?
Oh, boy, I was good. I used to be good, Luis. I don't know if I told you that. No, 1981. Marcia and I got married.
$35 marriage?
$35 we had to pay
Wow.
the preacher. I found him in the yellow pages at the last minute because the judge...
This is it.
There we go.
Nice picture.
It's my mom's front yard. The judge wouldn't... And I called the justice of the peace. I said, hey, we want to get married in your courtroom because we didn't want a big fancy wedding. I don't even know why we decided we want to get married. We go, hey, you want to get married? Yeah, that's we should get married. And he said, you're not wearing jeans in my courtroom. And that just pissed me off. I was like, well, you're a public servant. We'll wear what we want.
Just lost the client.
He wouldn't let us do... What's that?
He just lost the client.
He lost a client. That's right. So I said, well, we'll just get a preacher out of the book. And I found a guy to come for $35 and say the words. And we had a nice wedding at my mom's house, yeah. And then we went to Pittsburgh for the IBM convention. Michael Amar talked me into being in the competition for the So I had only been in 2 other competitions, Galleon, Ohio, and TAOM in Texas when I was a teenager. I think I won that one, I'm not sure. So we go to Pittsburgh, and of course one of the judges is Michael Amar. So I knew I had an in because we were bestest buddies back then. So that's probably the reason I won, because I was very fast. My head was down and I mumbled a lot and I did my tricks. And
I don't think so.
I think so. And then they gave me the award, and then they also gave me the gold cups, which was thrilling for me. Yeah, that was great.
To close our first part of this series of 4 conversations, I would like to quote Marcia, your wife. She says, "David is an amazing father, a caring and devoted husband, a supportive brother, and a loving son. That's how we know him. He's a great guy, and I love him."
Oh,
Well, we all do, and
That's
we
right.
thank you.
thank you. You're sure it's not the other David Williamson that she's talking about?
Oh, now that you say that,
It might be.
I'll call her.
Could be another Marcia, too. I
Yeah,
don't
I'll
know.
check that before our next
Okay,
conversation.
double
Yeah.
check that. When did she say that?
She never, I just made it up.
You made it up.
Yeah.
Take the lens cap off of this one.
The hypnotist explanation, take 1.
Not take 1. It's the only take. Don't tell Paul Daniels.
Memory test.
1 take Willie.
Turn and restored transposition. Take
No, carded mouth, sorry. Oh, which one are we doing? Torn and restored? Yes, I'm not ready.
Hangman.
We'll have another potato chip and go to the next chapter. And you can floss.
Explanation, take 1.
Whenever I do this, I always make it a point to hand out a little token of my appreciation to all the children of the world. That's it. Now I give all the money to the children. There you go, kids. Get lost. You kick me and I'll kick you. I'll go first. Now I'm ready.
Okay, it took a while.
Okay. Diagonal palm shift. Shift. Take 1.
Palm shit.
Shift.
Palm shit.
Shift. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Wow.
Então, man,
É pena as câmeras estarem a gravar por este lado.
JJ was right. He said he's always hitting himself and having
Yeah.
accidents. And
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
If you don't like that, you might like that.